Hello and welcome to episode 26 of Gamers of Lost Spark podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Chesson, and joining me as always is the other Spark on the pod. He's the Wanderer. They call him the Wanderer. He roams around. It's Mr. Darren Whitten.
Around and round and round and round and round.
I was gonna sing it, but I've already sung twice on the podcast before, and I'm sure people don't like it.
Oh, I like it, mate. I like it. It's a shame. It would have been great to have been brought in with a song, but that's all right. I gave it a little bit. How are you doing, man? Are you okay?
I'm not too bad. How are you? How's your week been?
How's my week been? It's been okay. Did you know that it's 10-year anniversary, thereabouts, of the 360 being launched?
Wow, really? What did we have last week? We had the 2-year anniversary of the PlayStation 4, didn't we?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So it's the 10 years of 360, and when I read this, I thought it doesn't. It feels like longer than a decade. Feels like it's been around forever, doesn't it?
But it was such a good console, wasn't it? It really was a solid console. You know, obviously it wasn't solid at the start when we had Red Rings of Death all the time, but once we got over that, it was a real solid console. It was really kind of my go-to console.
Yeah, me too. I mean, PS2 sort of was the console of its day, and then with 360, Microsoft sort of won, if you like. But I think 360 ruled the roost really for the last generation, and it just made me have a little think to what I enjoyed about the 360. And the launch, I enjoyed the launch when I got it. I got Call of Duty 2 with it, which I've mentioned before on the podcast. I'd never played a Call of Duty before because it sort of lived on PC. And I was too busy playing Unreal Tournament and Quake. I didn't want those realistic sort of games. Mm-hmm. And I got Call of Duty 2 with my 360, and I saved it till Christmas. And it was a fantastic Christmas. That will have been Christmas 2005 as it launched in the UK on December the 2nd. And the reason it's 10-year anniversary roundabout now is because it went US wide, November the 22nd in 2005. Geometry Wars, I enjoyed a lot on it. Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter, I love that game. Never played a game like it until the 360. In fact, all those, I'd never played a twin-stick shooter till Geometry Wars, I don't think.
Right.
Call of Duty 2 is my first World War II game. So it was a console of firsts for me. And then Project Gotham Racing 3 introduced me to the fun of Xbox Live, and that was, I think we've discussed this as well, when Xbox Live was a happy place where people chatted and you could make friends, you could make proper mate on a Friday night playing a game. You could sort of connect, if you like. Or I felt you could. And Cameo, which it was a great game and really showed off the HD graphics when it first came out. You know, that was a good launch title, all bright and beautiful and colourful. And I was thinking for myself, what are the games I enjoyed the most on the console, as well as just the launch window? So I had a little think, and I'll just permit me, if you will, to run a few titles by you. You can sneer or approve as you see fit. But the ones that I picked, 6. This isn't like the best games that I've loved in the whole world because I didn't have the time to put that much thought into it. But the games that I really, really enjoyed, BioShock.
Yes.
Yeah, I loved that.
Yeah.
I loved that. And I loved the hype up to it as well. The trailer, left me sort of speechless the first time I saw it. And it's funny that it portrayed the girl, the little sister, as such an innocent party in the trailer. It was like harrowing what happened. But then when the game came out, you learned about what was going on. It's so good. Braid, I really loved. Gears of War, that was a big release. It's what gave my 360 a red ring. Mass Effect series, Portal 1 and 2, and Red Dead Redemption. All happy times.
Wow, they're all on the same console. That's fantastic, isn't it? That is just absolutely. I mean, I think for me, as well as Portal, Orange Box as well. I had a big time with Orange Box. I absolutely love that. But
what great value that was as well. Half-Life 2, Half-Life 2 Episode 1, Half-Life 2 Episode 2, Team Fortress, and Portal 1.
Yes,
amazing. And I had sort of veered away. I'd stopped buying graphics cards for my PC, so I'd only played Half-Life and Half-Life 2. So it was through Orange Box that I got to enjoy the Episode 1 and Episode 2, which I probably wouldn't have got to see otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just thinking kind of off the cuff, I mean, no surprises, kind of what my favourite game was on Xbox 360, Viva Pinata. But it was the 360 that bought Viva Pinata and Viva Pinata Trouble in Paradise, and they were just such great games. They were games that I was playing with my entire family. We were talking about it. Whenever we met up, it was what we were talking about. It really did kind of bring on. I saw my nephew start playing games, and they were playing that game, and we were just constantly talking about it, getting nerdy with spreadsheets, But for me, I think also with the 360, it also brought the first time that you saw this complete refresh of a dashboard, because we had the Blade system, and then I was in, and I think you were as well, we were in the preview program, and then suddenly we got the update to the new look and feel, and it kind of cut you off from everybody else when you got that update because you couldn't talk to anyone, but it was just fantastic. It was such a change, it was like you got this box, you've never seen it before, where a games console would actually change the look and feel and functionality of how it works, and that I always thought was groundbreaking with the 360. Also, Xbox Live, Xbox Live is just such a great platform, such a sturdy platform, such a trustworthy platform as well, because at that point, with the 360, I was listening to a lot of the Major Nelson podcasts. So, we should say salute to Major, because it brought him out as well. It brought, with the Xbox 360 era, we got Major Nelson and those kind of podcasts, because they were very early on in the whole kind of podcast thing. So
yeah, because podcasting has been going around about 10 years as well, really.
Absolutely. And on Major Nelson's podcast, he used to have two people. One of them was E, who has the first Xbox Live name, which is just E, and he was the network guy, and then we had another guy called Steptoe, who was the person who would do security, and he was involved in Xbox Live security, and they always would talk about how it's manned by people. It's not just an algorithm that just bans you willy-nilly, and they were getting quite nerdy on the in and out. So I really felt connected to that console and to everybody, really, because of that podcast and because of the community that they built up.
Yeah, I think the community they built up, the brand, and that connection they built with the consumer is still goes on today, and we've discussed that as well with Microsoft and the way that we feel that they embrace the gamers. And it's funny, isn't it? You think back, and they did that from day one, being the forerunners of getting into podcasting so early on. 10 years ago, it wasn't really a big thing. It's still not massive now. It's still got a lot of picking up to do, though. It's a lot further forward than it was. Yeah, and as for the UI, I quite agree. And it was really a wow moment, wasn't it, when you realised that the way that these consoles worked, that they could sort of completely change the interface that you're playing with, and so much for the better. So much for the better. What was it called after the Blade system? And then they updated it to what we know now as that dashboard. Was it just the Xbox dashboard?
It was the new Xbox experience.
Was it, even back then? I think
it was the NXE.
The NXE. I do think, and I don't know if you agree with me, but that, for me, is the best UI that I've ever experienced on a console.
Absolutely. I mean, it was, in its time, when you were using it, it was fantastic. You knew where everything was. It was muscle memory of how to get to demos, all of that sort of stuff. When you go back to it now, when you're copying all your saves up to the cloud, it's so slow. It's just so slow. But it was, the design of where things were, it was a fantastic design. I'm sure there's kind of designers sitting in Microsoft going, oh God, that was awful. But it was a good design, and it really was accessible for, the way your friends were there in their avatars, because again, it brought us those awesome avatars and things like that, where your friends were there as avatars. It was all just, it was such a great console. It was.
I just thought I'd bring that up. And I also got an Xbox Avatar add-on this week. Did you get it? Did you get a message?
I did, yes.
Yeah, for our strivings and efforts for the NXOE beta, we got a Avatar add-on reward, didn't we?
I'm surprised I didn't take yours away because you removed yourself from the preview.
I didn't think I'd get it because I removed myself. I thought I was out of the running. So when I saw that people were starting to mention that they got this reward, I thought, oh, well, I won't. But I got it anyway.
No, it was a real bevy for me because, I was away last week on holiday, and every morning, the hotel had really good Wi-Fi, every morning I'd wake up and there'd be a new message from Xbox. And in one week, I got some rec packs for pre-ordering Halo 5. So I got some new rec packs with some ninja armor. I got that one for doing the preview program, and then I got the codes, which were supposed to come out on the 1st of December, but they came out early. I got the codes for Gears of War 1 all the way through to Judgment.
Oh, fantastic. What a treat.
Yeah, so they were all just sitting there. And I tell you what was fantastic. When I got home, fired up my Xbox, and it was just a click. Within each, you didn't have to put in the codes. Within each message, there was a redeem code button
cool.
that you just clicked, and then it just started downloading. So
that's what you want, isn't it? So we've both got the Ninja Cat.
Is that what it is?
Oh, have you not seen it yet? I applied it to mine.
It Spoiler alert, dude.
Sorry.
No. What is it? What is it? What do you get?
I thought, wow, is this something brilliant? And then the message says, go to the Avatar app and apply it. And I was like, I've never heard of the Avatar app. So I said, Bing, Xbox Bing, Avatar app. It didn't find anything. I was like, oh, what's this about? So I went into where my icon is, where the sign-in. Icon. Went into there, and in there you can get into your profile, and in there you can edit your avatar. And I went into there, and then I saw all the dress-up stuff, which must be quite new because I didn't think you could mess around with your avatar on the Xbox One as much as you used to be able to. And I don't even have that pic. And anyway, I have a picture of my eye. Or anyway, so it is a. You know how you could get toys, add-ons to your avatar that he'd play with a radio-controlled car, or I think my one for ages he'd open a present and a 360 would be in it. It's one of those. So it's like a friend. It's a orange ninja cat, and he appears in a big puff of smoke or whatever, and you both grab a controller and sort of sit down playing on an Xbox. The Xbox doesn't appear; it just shows you going both twiddling your thumbs, and the cat's twiddling his paws, playing the Xbox. So that's what it is. It's a Ninja Cat accessory or add-on for your avatar, but it's free. So I applied mine. I can't believe it. I spent about half an hour trying to work out how to do it. I really shouldn't have bothered. Also, there was trouble and strife in the Wytham household this week because I suffered from the PS4 disk eject error.
Oh.
Have you heard of this?
No, I haven't.
No, I hadn't either. But it is a thing. All of a sudden, playing along nicely on my PS4, and it spat the disc out, which promptly took me back to the menu, the main menu of the UI of the PlayStation 4, which was rather disgruntling. I was like,
what was you playing? Like Barbie's Dream House Adventures or something?
Yeah,
and it was like, I don't want to play this game anymore.
No, I was playing Fallout. So, it must PS4 must have approved, surely. So it spat the disc out. I was like, all right, one off. These things happen, I'll let it go. Put the disc in. Half an hour later, it spat it out. I was like, it's like, did. Hear the drive go crazy, and it spat the disc out. And again, it took me to the damn menu. I was like, this is annoying. Anyway, this increased in its frequency. And in the end, I was just like, this is ridiculous. I've got a problem here. And then when the disc came out, it started to get when I took the disc out, the drive was still making the noise as if it was trying to eject or insert or take in a disc. The drive was going, all this. And I'm thinking, what the heck's happening here? This is serious. I don't like this. The thing is, obviously if I'd bought it digitally, I wouldn't have the issue, would I?
No.
Maybe Sony are spreading this bug in the code to encourage people to buy digital. But I had a look online, and as I typed it in, Google guessed it for me. It predicted what I was writing as the PS4 disk eject error. So lots of people have had this, and basically, all of a sudden, out of the blue, it can just start to spit your discs out.
Wow.
Mid-play, and you can put the disc in, and it carries on spitting it out, or it won't take the disc. And even with the disc out, it'll just keep making that noise and chugging as if it's trying to take a disc in or take a disc out. It's really, really bad. I was worried that it might have been broken. So there's lots of theories on how to fix it. People say the cause is something to do with the rubber foot that is in the middle of the front of your PS4, applying some pressure on the drive. Something to do with that. So there's all these different methods of fixing it, like taking bits apart and twiddling around with screws and stuff. The recommended fix that I tried first, and it seems to have worked, is the simple one. Because first of all, I turned it off myself without looking on the internet. I just turned it off for a while. Turned it on, and it was fine, but then it started again. So I read a lot of places just said, look, just turn it off for a few hours. They said unplug everything and turn it off, but I didn't really understand how unplugging everything made a difference if you were turning it off anyway. So anyway, I got annoyed because a brief switching off for like a few minutes didn't fix it. So when I went to bed that night, I just unplugged the thing, turned it off safely. First of all, because I've got mine in sort of the rest mode option, turned it off with the console, and then unplugged the power, so I didn't corrupt the database or anything, or in case there was something uploaded into it. And next morning, put it on, and it's been fine.
Wow!
And it's been fine for a few days now. So, if you do get the PS4 disk eject error, my advice and the advice of the Gamers of the Lost Spark, I'd say, until Anthony has maybe a different experience, is just unplug it, turn it off from the console, from the system, from the menu system. So turn your PlayStation 4 off properly, and then when it's all shut down, unplug it at the back, leave it for about 15 hours, plug it in again. Hopefully you'll be okay. And if you're not, you can Google, and there's many other fixes. But touch wood, this has worked for me so far. So that was a bit of a... It was a bit scary, really, because I thought...
Absolutely.
I was thinking... It might have to go, off for service. And it had just gone out of warranty because I bought mine when Destiny was released. Because Destiny got me excited. So I got the Glacier Ice White PS4 with Destiny. And the Destiny game came out probably early November. So I've had it just over a year. And I was like, my warranty's, just run out and it's broken. But it's okay. It's okay. So yeah, that's my week. What about your good self?
Well, I was on holiday last week, so I went off to New York for a week just to kind of celebrate our anniversary because we got married out there. So which was really cool. It was really nice, kind of being out in the US. Just kind of, it was nice just unplugging my brain from work and things like that. But one of the things kind of relevant, I guess, to kind of our audiences, and if you are kind of in the New York area or kind of traveling to New York at the moment, at Times Square there is a Star Wars celebration. So there's a Star Wars exhibition of costumes, and so Nicola and I, we had about an hour to spare, so we just decided we'd just kind of pop along. They were letting people straight in, and you just kind of walk around. It's a self-guided tour, and I was quite impressed. There was a little bit of a montage, really made me want to watch all of the films. The kind of montage they show you, like Star Wars, it's a phenomenon, they go through all of that. They kind of showed you all of this kind of montage. I was like, I am so watching 1 to 6 when I get back. And so we went in. The first costume you saw was Darth Maul fighting Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi, and that was just their costumes, the actual costumes used from the movies, and the whole thing was all they all existed from the movies. It was actually it was presented by the Smithsonian, so these are all kind of protected. You weren't allowed to use flash because they're going to be seen as antiques very soon, so they're going to be classed as antiques. So they had like Emperor Palpatine, and it was all really good. I was like, oh, this is really interesting. It was showing you kind of where the inspiration was coming from, and I was like, yeah, this is really cool. We'll probably be out of here in about 20 minutes. And then I turned the corner, and there was BB-8. And there was BB-8, and there was R2-D2, and there was C-3PO. At this point, I start getting giddy. These are the actual ones that were kind of one of the ones that were used in the movie. Start taking photos aplenty of me near BB-8. There was some guy who was next to us. It was really empty. There was only probably about 10 people wandering around when we went. But one guy got a little bit excited and started setting off the alarms. Because he got a little bit too close to BB-8. But as we just went around, there was guns and lightsabers that were used. They had a whole load of stormtroopers, old and new. They had props from the new movie as well. So they had Kylo Ren's outfit. They had just a whole bunch of new stuff as well. But they also had Django and Boba Fett as well. So they're the father and son Fetts. They had those as well. They had those costumes, and it was just so good just being that close to like Boba Fett's costume. I completely geeked out while I was there. I'm sure my wife was like, I've been married 6 years to this, and I was just like, I was totally geeking out. They had Han Solo and Carbonite, and it was such fun, So I definitely recommend it if you are in the Times Square area, if you're there on holiday or live that way. I would definitely check it out because it's definitely worth a good hour and a half of your time. They also had across the hall, so you had this big Star Wars one across the hall. They also had a I've just blanked. What's that new movie that's just come out? Hunger Games. Hunger Games. They had a Hunger Games. They had a Hunger Games exhibition as well. So they were doing Hunger Games and Star Wars, kind of in the same museum, if you will. So it was just good fun. It was really worth a trip around.
Oh wow! Well, happy anniversary to you guys.
Well, thank you very much. I did. I played some Vita. I played some DS on the plane. You know, the plane was only like 6.5 hours. So you know, when I watched a couple of movies, played some games. By the time I'd done that, you know, we were landing. It seemed like a very quick flight. So which was really cool. But so should we? So with that, should we get on with what we've been playing?
Yeah, sure.
So what's been spitting out of your PS4 this week?
What have I been trying to keep inside my PS4 this week? Fallout 4.
Oh, so how are you doing? Because I must confess, and I did have a listen to our podcast on the plane while I was playing my Vita, and I must confess, I did say that, you know, when I get back from holiday, I'm just going to jump into Fallout 4, but I haven't for a particular reason. So how's your experience with Fallout 4 going? How's it going? Are you still loving it?
Yeah, I'm still. It's got its hooks into me. You know, if I've got some free gaming time, I'm just putting Fallout on at the moment, and it's just great. I love it. I'd forgotten how much I loved it from Fallout 3, but I think I said this before. It's all come back to me, and it's the only game I know where I enjoy just roaming around so much. It's strange because you could apply the same model to Oblivion or Skyrim, and I don't know why, because I sort of prefer a fantasy setting personally. So I would have thought that I'd be happier in those universes, but there's something about this place, this nuclear wasteland of the Commonwealth, that I just don't tire of roaming around and just doing stuff and looking for stuff and finding stuff. It's strange because I looked at my stats to find out where I was in the game. I actually wanted to find out how long I'd played the game for, because I was curious, because I put a bit of time into it. And I don't know if it's counting the time correctly, but it says that I've played it for 2 days, 6 hours and 41 minutes, which is a lot for me.
That sounds about right. I mean, that's, you know, yeah. I guess I don't know. You got it on the day of its launch, didn't you? You've been playing it since. You didn't play it too much on the day because of your Pip-Boy, but we won't go there.
Less said about that, the better.
Yeah. You can imagine James listening to the podcast going, "Don't talk about.
Don't mention the Pip-Boy."
Don't mention it. But yeah, that's really good going. I mean, I have noticed, because I've been jumping onto my PS4, and I have noticed kind of whenever I'm on, you know, you're kind of playing Fallout 4. So maybe that is right. Maybe that, because I guess you don't like take breaks or leave it running, do you?
No, the only thing I thought, but it can't be this, was that it didn't know how to stop counting time when it was in rest mode. But then it would be like, I don't know, it'd be like 10 days or something ridiculous, which would be really impossible. So I think
just embrace it. You've been playing it for 2 days.
Yeah, I'm proud of that. You know, that's the most I played the game for a long time. And even more staggering is I checked the quests, and it said main quests completed, and it said 1. So I was like, you what? Because I thought I'd been doing stuff that was relevant, or maybe it's the genius of the game that it makes everything feel relevant. But it said, main quest's done 1. But I've done loads of stuff. I'm about level 18, which I don't know if that's good for the amount of time that I put into it. And it's just, my aim is just to be like, let's just go south. So I'd start from a point, and then, because it gets harder the further south you go. So, and it's just like, right, okay, I've done this bit now. Do I feel tough enough? Let's go and explore further south and just see what I see. And there's so many things on the map, and something will come up like, a few days ago, I found this thing, I think it was called the Trinity Tower. And it's where a radio station is based there, and it's this massive tower, like one of the towers from Half-Life, say, in City 17, that sort of thing, and it looks a bit like that.
Right.
And it grasped my attention because of that. I thought, oh, wow, I want to go to the top of that tower. And it triggered off a quest to rescue a guy who was stuck at the top, and it was filled with super mutants.
Oh, wow.
Every level of it, you know, as you go up some stairs, and there was just chocker full of super mutants and really hard, legendary super mutants and things like that. So they were tough cookies to get through. And it just became, and this has happened with so many other things, it just became a mission to do it. And so I got to the top, battled it, and it's all about the loot, really. It's like, oh, there might be a brilliant gun up at the top. There never seems to be it never seems to be a reward. There's exactly what I want, but more and more things are happening. It's like I'll just play till I get to the next level, because I'm all over the place with my perks. What I'm leveling up at the moment, I'm just investing in finding ammo now, because my ammo dropped to a level that I wasn't happy with. So I was thinking, I was like, right, this is it. And I saw that one of the perks you can add experience to is finding more ammo in crates and what have you. So at the moment, I'm just doing that because I don't want that to happen again, because it was just too scary. And because of the level of the mutants and the monsters and the residents of the Commonwealth that I am fighting against, I'm going through ammo like anything, like nobody's business. So I'm investing in that. And there was another really tense thing where I thought I'd really stuffed it up, because I entered this salvage yard, I think it was, and that again was full of super mutants, and he had an even bigger, more fancy title than just super mutant. This guy in the middle with a chain gun. He was like, it wasn't legendary, but it was, I don't know what it was, but he was like a super mutant, and he was so hard. And I got boxed into a corner, and I fled, and I ran into one of these like abandoned trailers to take some cover, and sort of like holed myself in the back corner and thought, this is a good plan. I'll just get them as they come in. But they were too strong, and they were coming in, and then I sort of thought I was holding my own, sort of like they couldn't hit me from where I was crouched. But then they started chucking grenades and Molotov cocktails in through the windows, and they were toasting me, and I was getting frustrated. But the thing was, I'd done a quick save in there, and I was like, you only get one quick save file, and my previous full save was a long time before.
Oh, wow. Oh,
like
no.
a few hours or something before. And I was like, oh, I've really screwed it this time. Like, the way that it works, because you only get this one quick save, you seriously you need to be careful, because, for instance, if you did a quick save, as a grenade was just about to hit you and blow you up, you would have to revert to your last full save. And if you haven't saved for ages, or it hasn't auto-saved, it can be a pain. I mean, we're not talking hours and hours and hours. Not talking days or anything, but still, if you lose 2 hours, it's just a ball ache, isn't it, really?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
And at one point, I tried, and it takes a little bit to load each time you die. And I was like, oh man, should I give up? Should I revert to my save? It was at that point, and that's not like me. I hate to give up on games, because you can do it. If you're skillful enough, if you persevere, you can do it. And so I was trying all these different things by trial and error. I was putting mines in the entrance that they'd come in the trailer, but this one guy was so powerful that it only took about, I don't know, an eighth of his health away. So in the end, I did something that I'd not done in the game yet, and I had some of the meds that you get. So I was looking through them all, and I found one called, I think it was Jet, and Jet slows down time for 10 seconds, and the Psycho, which makes you stronger, and I think it builds up your resistance to damage. So I just applied these two things and ran as fast as I could, and put my gun away, because you run faster without the gun. And I ran, I got past them, and just ran and got out of the junkyard. And then I looked around, it was safe, and I just quick saved it quickly, and I was out of there. And then I was like, oh my goodness me. So then I just ran to the nearest sort of safe area, found a bed, slept, and then came back sort of in the morning, rested, with a new strategy, not boxed in, and started to wreak my revenge on them, and I defeated them. And it was just the elation of that. And that's not a main quest. It's just, no. And that's the thing about it. You make your own challenges up in it, and I've never felt a satisfaction or determination to create this task for myself in any other game. You can do these sort of things in other games, but I've never felt a pull or an enticement to do it like I have done in Fallout 4. Maybe Fallout 3 was similar. It's so long ago I can't quite remember, but it's just a pleasure to play it for that. And you're just roaming around, and the map is so dense and rich. There's all these different distractions, and you can help people. You can have a bit of a dialogue, and you can help people. There's a reason for what you're doing, or you can just decide to liberate an area, and that's what I'm doing. I've just sort of been liberating areas and helping. If I see a radio signal or a settlement, helping them as well. And it's always just, right, I'll just help them, or I'll just clear this junkyard, whatever, of super mutants. Or is there a better weapon over there? what's in that massive structure over there? Or I'll just play till I get to the next level, just so I can see how that'll boost my stats. And, it's all those things that you get from many RPGs, but for some reason, for me, it's really good. It's hooked into me, and that's the beauty of Fallout. That's what I wanted from the game. That's what I hoped for, and that's exactly what I've got. I mean, yeah, it hasn't got probably the jumping graphics that we expected and we talked about before, but for playability, I'm loving it, and for value and longevity, one main quest done. But the thing is, the way I play it as well is that in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking, you're leveling up, so when I do decide to take on the main quest, I'm not going to be hassled, but I'll just be able to do it and enjoy it without having to grind, because I'll be this like all-powerful, leveled up behemoth. So yeah.
What level are you at the moment?
Yeah, so I'm enjoying it. So, what about your good self? What have you been playing? What's been keeping you away from Fallout?
Well, it's really funny because, I'm listening to you and I'm just like, God, I want to play that game. I've been listening to some podcasts and they've been talking about it. Everyone's really uber positive about it. And even, on my Xbox dashboard, everybody's been just kind of posting pictures of things that they're doing within that world. And I do just want to jump in. I do just want to get cracking on it, because I do feel like I'm just missing out on such an amazing experience. I know you said earlier about the graphics, but there was Major Nelson posted a picture on the Xbox Dash over the weekend, and which almost had me instantly grabbing the controller and started playing it, because it was a group of different coloured robots that kind of looked a little bit like Robbie the Robot from Lost in Space. But there was a whole group of them. Now, I don't know if they were working for him or against him, but the picture that you posted looked stunning. Looked like so good. I just wanted to jump straight in, and I am missing it. I am missing Fallout. But, kind of back to your original question, the reason why I'm not playing is, similar, when I'm not playing this game, I'm just constantly thinking about it. It's Star Wars Battlefront. Star Wars Battlefront has got its claws into me. It has got ginormous claws into me. I'm sucked in like I'm in the Sarlacc pit. I just bloody love this game so much. I know there was a lot of people talking that it wasn't, it didn't have enough depth, it was just fan service, but that's exactly what I want, and I think I've embraced this game for what it is. You and I on Sunday morning, we played a level of survival, and I had a blast doing that with you. It was just, great fun. We need to ramp up the difficulty a bit, because we were just, we were coasting, weren't we, when we were playing it. But I've been playing all of the missions. I've been also going through all of the different multiplayer modes. And one of the guys who listens to the podcast, he just said to me, Steve, he just said to me, try one of the different modes. So I tried the mode that is where you're capturing the different areas. It's like, it's not suppression, it's something like that, and he's probably shouting, going, it's this, and I was tried that, and that was fantastic. And then I was just like, because before, all I was doing was playing the drop pods, and I played Cargo, which is their version of Capture the Flag, and I kind of was flip-flopping between the two of them. But like I say, we had a recommendation to play a different type, so I did that. It was like Supremacy, that's what it's called.
I played a bit of that, yeah, it's good.
And I really enjoyed Supremacy, but on Monday night, finished work, day one, being back after a week, I just finished work, and all I was doing all day was thinking about Star Wars, and I played Heroes versus Villains mode.
Okay, I haven't played that mode yet.
Now, Heroes versus Villains is awesome. Now, one thing I'd like to point out is I seem to be a lot better at Star Wars Battlefront than I was at Halo. I am much better. I'm appearing top of the leaderboard. I'm getting my image. I'm getting my picture on the screens. For like most captured points, whatever. I'm being a real team player in most of the games I play. But Heroes versus Villains is you 6-on-6, and it's the first one to 5, and 3 people of your 6 are either Darth Vader, the Emperor, or Boba Fett for the Empire, and then for the Rebellion you either Han, Luke, or Leia. And then what happens is, when all of the heroes or villains have been killed, your team loses. So you've got to try and keep those guys alive, or if you're them, you've got to try and stay alive. And it's just fantastic. So what happens is, like, you could just be a normal stormtrooper. When that round is over, it says next time you're spawning, you're Boba Fett. So I'm now Boba Fett. And then I'm riding around, flamethrower gun, taking out the rebellion. If I'm the last villain standing, I'm going to then go and hide, try it. And that's why it would be good to play with a bunch of friends, because then you'd be like, look, I'm the last one left. Let's just let's tighten it up. Let's go and hide over in the corner, but take those guys out. And you've only got 2.5 minutes or 3 minutes, I think, per level as well. So there's a little bit of urgency to it. But it's amazing. It's just so much fun. And last night I started playing about 9 o'clock, and before I knew it was 11:30. There's just 2.5 hours that just flew by. I am just loving this game so much. There's one which is Hunt the Hero, or Hero, I think it's called, where you get to be a hero or a villain, and there's 16 of you, and whoever kills the hero or villain becomes the hero and villain, and then 15 are chasing you, and that is just a ton of fun, because I managed to get I was Emperor Palpatine, and I just took out 12 people. They kept coming for me, but I just kept taking them out and hiding, and I kept popping up behind. I was playing on Endor. I just kept popping up behind some foliage and like taking these guys out, and I was just enjoying myself so much, and I just can't, I bloody love it. It's just amazing. What about you? Have you been playing Star Wars Battlefront?
Yeah, I found some time for it too, and I'm in a great situation. I'm in gaming heaven at the moment, because I find these are the perfect match for each other. Fallout, it's all engrossing and deep and sort of slow paced and steady and thoughtful, and a big adventure, a big sprawling adventure. And then you can just go on Battlefront and just have Twitch fun, reaction, proper like Twitch gaming, shooty fun. It's just absolutely fantastic, and it's great to hear. Like you say, before you know it, 2 hours, 3 hours has passed you by. It's when, that game's got a grip on you, and that's a great experience. It's what we do it for, isn't it? That's why we love games so much.
Absolutely.
And people say, they say it's shallow, and I'm with you, it's Star Wars, and it's the best-looking Star Wars game that's ever come out. It immerses you in that universe. And for me, it's pretty true to the Star Wars canon, where there isn't a lot of difference with the weapons and things. And this is just a personal thing for me, because I'm like you, I'm not a hardcore Call of Duty player or anything like that. And when I have dipped in, like the last time was on the beta for the latest Call of Duty, I find all that unlocking stuff and all these like layers and layers and layers of nested weapons and unlocks, I find I can't be bothered with it. It distracts me from the game. For me, I mean, the hardcore will argue, and they'll have their reasons that you earn it and it's good and everything like that. But for me, I prefer everyone to be on the same level, because that's how you sort of have a skillful game.
Yes.
So I like everyone to be the same, and I played for ages. I loved like Quake, and I loved, especially my favourite one was Unreal Tournament on PC, and I loved it. And my favourite mode was Instagib or Instagib. I'm not sure how you say the G word, the G word there, gib or jib. And that was a one-shot kill mode. So basically, if you got them in your sights and you hit them, they exploded into giblets. And maybe it's Insta-Jib. And I loved that mode, because it was all about being fast enough to get that hit and get them before they got you. And there was no upgrades, there was no unlocks. There was nothing like that. There was a selection of maps. But I loved it, and it never got boring, because if you're getting beaten, I always felt I was learning. I've got to get better. And if I came in the top 3, or if I came top, there was elation. It's like, and it wasn't elation as if, oh wow, I've got no more to learn because I'm the best. Because you're going to get whacked some other time on the game, and I loved that. And the dumbing down, if you like, or the simplicity of the Star Wars game, of Star Wars Battlefront, appeals to that side of my nature. So for me, I'm happy. Leave all these like hundreds and hundreds of different weapons and unlocks and perks. Leave them behind for me. I'm quite happy with the star card system. I have unlocked only a few things, but I haven't changed my default gun, because it seems to be okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I really enjoy being a stormtrooper. I love the stormtrooper gun. I enjoy the sound, the look, the
sound.
everything about it. It's quite funny because I jumped into a game. I was playing. Which one was I playing? It was probably Supremacy, and I jumped in, stuck my headphones in because I can put my headphones into the PlayStation controller. I'm not bitter about the Elite controller. So
Send
I put
it back.
yeah, no one was talking. So I thought, right, fine, I'm going to listen to a podcast. I got a whole load to catch up on. But by doing that, I felt disconnected from the game because the sound is so good. You're on Endor and you can hear the animals just flying over. You hear that like noise every now and then, so I just thought, no, I can't listen to this podcast. I've got to listen to the game soundtrack again. So I just totally immersed myself. And I know people have been having a go. They're saying there's only 4 worlds, but at the moment, and I've put a lot of time into this because this has kept me away from Tomb Raider, it's kept me away from Fallout. But at the moment, I'm enjoying. It's kind of like, what's coming up next? Endor, yes, And there's when I was playing Heroes versus Villains, you were in a part of Tatooine where you had the Jawas, craft was there, and it was dusk, and it was like the suns, because obviously it's twin suns in Tatooine. The suns were just going down in Tatooine, and the graphics just looked amazing. I did see online that somebody has modded it on the PC already, and they've been able to go beyond the highest specs of the PC game, and it looks real. By all accounts, this guy has done it on Grand Theft Auto 5, and he's done it now on Star Wars. And there was just images. I'm waiting to see some kind of. It was on a Reddit thread. I can't wait to see like moving images of it. But he's just like overclocked this game, and it just looks stunning. It looks stunning on the PS4. I have to admit, the PS4 is just really rocking it, and the controller feels great. It just looks fantastic, and like I say, and the sound is just amazing. Those 4 worlds, 12 maps, the different modes we've got. Okay, there may come a time where I'm anchoring for something new, but I guess we'll talk about that in the news a bit later. But I'm anchoring for something new, but I'm happy with what I've got right now. And if I did buy the season pass, I would be waiting until it came out. I'm not going to give them any of my money right now because I've already given them for the game. But at the moment, I am incredibly happy, and it's all I can think about playing. Even it was quite funny. I was working from home today, and I was like lunchtime. I was thinking, I might go downstairs and have a game, and then I ended up getting on a conference call, and I just kind of worked through lunch. So I never went there, and I've never done that. I've never really gamed for a lunch break. So I'm just like, it's definitely got me hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah, I was playing it the other night, and I had to go on Supremacy or a few goals, and I got wrapped up in it so much. It was just an amazing experience. I hadn't felt like this for ages playing an FPS, and it just helps that it's Star Wars. Like you say, with the sound, I couldn't have it without the sound either, because it makes me think of a choice I had to once make, because I thought that there was a fault on something, and it was my Xbox 360, and I had to make a choice between either HD or the 5.1 sound. And the choice that I made was the sound, and to keep the standard graphics, because I found that the sound was that important to me. But it turned out that it was my silly mistake, and I could have both. But you've got the sound on a game like that. It just immerses you, and maybe it's because of me and you. We've been brought up on Star Wars, so it's kind of part of us, isn't it? From being children, we've lived and breathed Star Wars, and we've seen the evolution and the attempts of Star Wars games, from the early vector graphics arcade, sit-down arcade cabinet, to Super Star Wars, to the N64, Shadows of the Empire, Knights of the Old Republic, all these efforts, Wing Commander, Rogue Squadron being my favourite game up to now on the GameCube. All these attempts at bringing this universe to the fans, to bring the fans the universe that they want, to actually make us feel that we're taking part in the spectacle and being a hero in this universe. And Rogue Squadron did it pretty well, but I think Battlefront does it too. I think it does it, and I think it does it with spades. I think it's a fantastic game. It's a beautiful looking game. I don't relish what they're doing with the season pass and with the I think it probably is a little bit bare bones. But like you, I'm happy with what it gives me. But I'm like, I try and think, am I being objective here? Am I biased just because I love Star Wars so much? And this is the kicker, they couldn't do that with a different game. They couldn't have released it with so little skin on the bones. I think because it's Star Wars, there's more leeway, and they can get away with this season pass. And this is the thing that I'm hoping is true, because when things like this happen, I just pray that it's not a trend. That the thing I don't like about DLC is like if they're doing it and they're sort of like doubling up the price of the game by holding some of the game back.
Yeah.
Now I think they can do this with Star Wars. They know that they can, because the fan base is massive. And even if half the fan base say, "Well, I'm not going to do it," they're still going to make loads because the fan base is so massive for Star Wars. But I don't think they could chance their arm with many other franchises. I think Star Wars is sort of an exception that they can take a risk like this on, and I really hope it doesn't start a trend. But I don't think it can, because I don't think the passion's there for other IPs. I'm hoping that they wouldn't try it anymore, and I'm hoping that this isn't harking to or heralding in a new dawn of more games coming out a little bit slim and then charging you. I mean, Splatoon came out a little bit slim, but then Nintendo said we're going to provide extra support and extra maps and stuff for free over the coming months. Now that's the difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll be interested to see kind of how they're going to. Maybe there has been a lot of criticism about what was there, and you can't help but think that the moment that EA got this license, they've had the date. This is. Star Wars is at fever pitch right now. Everything from batteries to just food in Sainsbury's.
Batteries and food.
Star Wars
on. Where can I get it?
Well, exactly. It's just batteries. I got my shopping turned up on Monday, and I was just unpacking, and there was just like it's just on everything. It was on I had Kylo Ren on my AA batteries. I had Stormtroopers on my AAA. It's everywhere. No matter where you look, it's in shops, it's in stores. There's even you go into game and there's Christmas decorations with Star Wars. It's fever pitch again. Back probably when Return of the Jedi came out or when Empire came out. It's absolute fever pitch. So you can just imagine that EA had to do something and had to get it out now. Because now is people are going to come out of seeing The Force Awakens in 3 or 4 weeks' time, and they're going to be like, I want a Star Wars game. You've got Disney Infinity 3.0, which today actually released a trailer for the Force Awakens game pack, which looks really good. And you're going to want a game, and that game is going to be Star Wars Battlefront, and you're going to enjoy it, But I guess the point I'm trying to make is that the EA they just had a window. They had to do something, and I'm not trying to give them an excuse, but they've delivered something that is amazing. It's fun. It looks incredible. It probably doesn't have enough bare bones. I've said this time and time again since they first announced it, or since we started doing a podcast. I would love to have a campaign on there. I'd love to have, even if it was just going through the different movies, even if it was a bit taken from A New Hope, a bit taken from Empire Strikes Back. I would love to just have something like that. I mean, I've been playing the missions, but some of them are a little bit light. I'm not mad keen on the flying. I was going to ask you if you've done any of the multiplayer flying maps, if you've done any of those modes yet.
Yeah, I've done a little bit. The flying disappoints me a little bit. I like it. I think it's simple. It's simplified. It's not simple. It's simplified. What am I trying to say here? Yeah, it's not as satisfying as playing Rogue Leader on GameCube, because on Rogue Leader you could hold one of the shoulder buttons and spin your ship, sort of barrel roll yourself manually, so you could go side on and things like that. So you had a lot more control of the ship, and they've taken that away. I can understand why they've done it though, because they want to open it to a wide audience, and so they've simplified a few things and a lot of the things. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it, and as like I say, I know I'm saying this about it being bare bones, but I'm happy. I'm loving it as well.
Yes. I find the flying a bit woolly at the moment. I was trying to play the Beggar's Canyon one because I thought that'd just be like a ton of fun, and I just kept crashing.
The tutorial one?
Yes, so I was like, I did the Endor because I know when I was away, you kind of sent me a message going, Endor looks amazing. You want to do the speeder biker? So I think it was one of the first things I did.
Wow, that was what I was going to mention next. Have you played the speeder bike bit? I just love it.
That was amazing, isn't it? That is just straight out of the film. That is kind of when you came out of watching Return of the Jedi. That's exactly kind of what you would have wanted to do. That was amazing.
Yeah, I absolutely. The thrill of that is like a dream I've had for probably 30 years or something, and it's finally realised to pretty much the best that I can imagine it being without putting VR goggles on it. That would be pretty cool with VR goggles on the speeder bike.
Wow.
And they actually wear goggles, don't they, when they go on the speeder bike? So you'd sort of feel like you were wearing your speeder bike goggles. Oh my goodness me.
That would be awesome.
Endors.
But I'm the same as you. I do think that there's not enough there. They could, we have Halo 5 is doing it. They're rolling out new maps and they're not splitting the install base, because the problem is say for instance when the season pass starts rolling out content and they give out new modes, they give out new maps, and you and I are sitting down like, do you fancy survival on, wherever the next map is going to take us on Bespin, and you haven't got it, you're going to just start splitting, which is one of the biggest problems with the DLC. It will start splitting those games.
I don't like that, because it's a great divider between the have and the have-nots, and I don't like thinking of gamers being divided by sort of something so I don't know about what the word is, but just something so materialistic as money. I mean, I know that we need the money to buy the games, but it's kind of like making everything about, well, have you got the money to to get this bit? Have you got the money to get this bit? And if you haven't, then you're not going to play it. And I mean, if for me and you, it's okay, because if we wanted it, we'd just get it. But there'll be some people that they've got the game. Say that they're not very well off and they had to wait to get the game, and they get it and they're really happy, and they're like go to their friends. They're like, I'm talking about like sort of school kids probably here, that are obviously 16 and over, because that's the certification given to the game, and they're like, I've got it at last, and all the mates are like, yeah, Demon, we'll see you on tonight, and they hook up, but all the mates have already migrated to the new maps. Poor little Johnny. He's got the first maps, and they're all going, well, come on, join us. He's like, and it says, right, you need to stump up whatever it is, another £10 or whatever. He's like, Mum, Dad, I can't play with my friends. They say, well, we just bought you the game. You're not having any more money. And it just makes me a bit... think that kind of scenario makes me feel sad.
Yeah, absolutely. Poor little Johnny. I mean,
there's a tear in my eye for little Johnny there.
It's worthwhile talking about Rival now rather than in the news section, because we're kind of on that kind of topic. But we do have the Battle of Jakku that's coming out, and I guess everybody who's playing Star Wars Battlefront now who probably has that code or has already redeemed that code. And
I haven't redeemed it yet. Actually, I need to. So
that's free DLC. That's coming out next week. So we get it earlier than anyone who probably, I guess, didn't pre-order. So that is going to be available a week early, and that's free for the people that pre-ordered. And EA have said, they have gone online this week, that they are looking at additional content that's going to be coming out for Star Wars Battlefront, additional free content that will be coming out. So obviously we have our season pass, which is going to give us all of the good stuff, but they will be bringing out additional content that's going to be free over the next couple of months, because I can see this, we've said this time and time again, but I can see this being a platform. Looking how this game looks, I could see this being something that's going to last a long time. And we've got Force Awakens, we've then got Rogue One coming out next year. We've got the Clones TV show, the Star Wars Clones. There's a lot of characters there that they could draw on. I'd love to see Ahsoka Tano as one of those heroes or villains. In a less cartoony way, obviously. In a kind of Star Wars Battlefront graphics would be amazing. And stuff like they have so much that they can draw on. So I would, if we do get a mix of kind of free and paid for, then that might be interesting. But they definitely have said there's going to be new maps and new star cards for free in the coming months. So maybe they are just hearing all of this, saying, people are loving their game, but they always say, I love Star Wars Battlefront, but, and maybe they're not liking that but, maybe EA actually have a heart for little Johnny, and, so there is some free content that will be coming out.
Yeah, and DICE historically do look after the games that they bring out, with the Battlefield games. And the last Battlefront game came out to average at best sort of reception, but they kept on tweaking it and bringing out, paid for, I admit, but also they brought out some free stuff. And they looked after the gaming audience for that game, and now it's heralded as one of the best games of that type. So, and DICE are used to this. They've been looking after Battlefront for years now. Battlefield. Sorry, it's Battlefield, and the last Battlefield game there. So they're used to the model. They've announced that they're going to bring out free content, so maybe we're going to get a bit of free and some premiere as well. It'll be interesting to see the differences in quality, if any, or it might just be that it's all quality, but to get extra stuff, then you have to stump up a bit of cash. But it'll certainly do well to quell the moaning of the internet massive, and probably myself, if the free stuff's good as well. It'll be really good. And while we're talking about this, because this was on the news list, there were some interesting stats come out that Star Wars Battlefront sold almost 50% more physical copies on PS4 than Xbox One and PC combined. Can you believe that?
Wow. I mean, I'm PS4. I'm playing on, and I guess for me,
Did you get it on both? Did you get it on both?
No. But I'll tell you what, I'm very tempted to get it on both, because my brothers are both making rumblings that they're going to be getting Star Wars, and they both have Xbox One.
It makes you feel almost as if you've got to, doesn't it?
It really does. A friend of mine Facebooked me today and said, I've just picked up Star Wars Battlefront. Do you want to jump on? I was like, are you playing it on the PS4? He was like, no, Xbox One. And I'm like, hold on. Bear with me. I was thinking.
That's what I felt like with you in Destiny.
Yes, exactly. And it's horrible. I wish we could all just kind of play together, which would be fantastic.
Why can't we all just be one gaming community?
We need to start a song with Paul McCartney.
We do. We need to link hands and stand in a circle.
But and so I've had quite a few people where I was saying, right, I'm going to get on PlayStation 4 because I knew that's where you were going to be playing it. I've also got some other friends that have now kind of I've bought PlayStation 4s for this game, so they're I've been hooking up with those guys, and so there is getting quite a lot of people on PS4, but I'm surprised that there are quite a few people on Xbox One that are also kind of playing it and kind of messaging me going, well, why aren't you playing Star Wars? Because I guess a lot of my friends are not used to me playing over on the PlayStation 4.
Yeah. It is. I completely understand we're feeling obligated. Like I feel exactly the same way if I get a friend that gets something on a different console and they want you to play it. I feel a pull to do it. I feel like I'm letting them down by not having it, and it makes me want to sort of go and buy it, but I'm like, I've just bought it, I've just bought it, and it is really an argument for one platform that we may get in the future. So 59% of all physical copies, this is just physical, This doesn't take the digital market into account, but 59% of physical copies were on PS4, with 39% on Xbox One, leaving 2% on PC. I'm surprised that PC is so low, but actually, no, I'm not, because really, nobody on PC buys physical. They all buy. No. They buy from Steam or Origin or GOG, don't they?
Yes. Absolutely. I'm always surprised when I walk into game and there is a section over in the back on the right of PC games, because you do expect most kind of PC users to just download their games. But that's really interesting that the PlayStation 4 is just outselling everybody else.
Yeah. But what about that Frostbite 3 engine?
Oh, it's just stunning.
Staggering, isn't it?
I mean, like I say, I think, because that's what you said was like, fire up Endor first. And you were spot on. Endor is amazing. The explosions in Star Wars Battlefront blow me away, literally. When someone gets me with a grenade, I'm like, oh, that's lovely, as I'm dying. But there's a grenade which implodes, and it kind of goes off, and then it just kind of gets sucked in, and then it goes off again, and just looking at that, and the sound as well, sounds amazing. It's incredible. I mean, what other games are going to be using that?
It's a perfect harmony of Star Wars goodness, isn't it? Other games, I'll tell you what other game's going to use Frostbite 3. Mass Effect Andromeda.
Oh my God.
So they won't be held back by the canon of Star Wars. No. So, they can just do what they want. Oh man. So that, I suspect, should be absolutely jaw-dropping amazing. I love the old Mass Effects as well. Should be amazing. Have you seen my time on the Speederbike trial?
I have, and I couldn't get near it.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you hadn't tried.
No, I did, because that's like I say, that's after your recommendation. That was the first thing I did. So I tried it about 2 or 3 times, and I couldn't get near it. I was very impressed, sir.
Oh, well, thank you. Oh, I thought you were going to say, I hadn't noticed, but I'll try and beat you. But if you can't, that's a shame.
It was quite funny. I was going to a couple of maps where you haven't, or anybody else hasn't set a time yet. You know, there's the mode where you've got to kill 100 you've got to kill 100 villains or something like that. It's like there's story modes in the missions, and you got to kill 100. So I've been doing those where no one else has set a time yet.
Oh, okay. so you can have the pride of saying number 1.
I can have the pride for a little bit, yeah, but it's just, like I say, I really want to play Fallout. I want to continue playing Lara Croft, but at the moment, I just, straight after this, I'm going to be jumping onto Star Wars Battlefront. I'm almost itching for whatever TV show I'm watching to finish, so I can just start playing Star Wars. I started watching Jessica Jones over the weekend, the new Netflix Marvel. That was fantastic. Watched 3 episodes of that. That's got its hooks into me. I'm really enjoying that. That's, Marvel kind of coming off the back of Daredevil, and now Marvel Netflix have gone into Jessica Jones. Very cool. But I couldn't wait for the 3rd episode to just finish so I could play Star Wars.
You've got too many hooks in you at the moment. You're going to split apart soon.
I mean, that's it though. I was saying to someone the other day, I'm a very excitable human being anyway, but at the moment, everything is just blowing my mind. Today in the DC universe, we had the first book of Frank Miller's Dark Knight 3. Now this follows on from Dark Knight Returns and Dark Knight 2, and I'm only halfway through because I've never read a comic book so slowly in my life, because I'm just taking in panel by panel. I really am. And the greatest thing on reading comic books on my iPad is the preview mode that they do. You kind of swish from panel to panel. So rather than just seeing a whole page, you get to go panel by panel, so it's like you're being directed. You're being guided through this comic book, and I am enjoying it so much. I'm enjoying the fact that Frank Miller didn't draw it, because I tried to read Dark Knight 2 again, and his artwork distracts me. The man is a genius, and Dark Knight Returns, the first one, is a gorgeous looking graphic novel. The second one, I don't know what he was. I think he was drawing with chunky stump crayons or something, because it looks a rush job and it distracts me. But this one, it's drawn by one of my favourite artists, Andy Kubert, and it's stunning. Come out today on the DC app or in kind of comic book stores. And Dark Knight 3, it's called Dark Knight 3: Master Race, and at the moment I'm loving it.
Fantastic. I've got so many comics that I need to read. You've given me pointers on which ones to read, and I still haven't picked one up yet, but I will. I will be. The only ones I've read, Watchmen was my introduction, and that was where I had to sort of readjust myself to having had not read a graphic novel or a comic for so many years, and I did do, and I just got totally absorbed in it. I loved it. And then some Scott Pilgrim, and then Kick-Ass 1 and Kick-Ass 2.
Right.
And that's it. It's not a very great wide it's not a wide ensemble of comics, is it?
No. I mean, there is, I have given you some kind of record. You should read this, and I could go on forever. People at work hate me because when they ask about comics, I'm like, you should read this. You've got to read this. Read this Batman. Read that Batman. And I am a bit of a pusher when it comes to
and I really want to. It's just that I started a book a little while ago that I got for Christmas, and I've just been so busy, and I started this book. It's a sort of fantasy book by an author called Robin Hobb, which I really love her books. It's the Assassins series, and this one is called Fool's Assassin, and it's so there's been 2 trilogies already that I've read. This is the 3rd trilogy within this series that I've picked to read, and it was so amazing. It was just written so beautifully, and so I can only read one book at a time. So I've finished that now, so I have got a space. So what I should do is I should knuckle down and start getting some decent graphic novels under my belt, because it's an area of my knowledge that is rather lacking. I hate to admit it, and the thing is, I hate to admit it because I know that I love it. Because I loved Watchmen. I loved Watchmen so much. I loved it. I liked it so much more better than the film. Reading that graphic novel, and the Kick-Ass ones as well. I didn't mind the film version, but it just didn't have the punch that the graphic novels had. They missed out certain bits of the story that I thought were so key to the sort of sentiment in there. And, yeah, you know, I mean, that happens a lot with film adaptations from books and things like that. But, yeah, there's a whole world out there waiting for me of stuff that I know I'm going to love, and I just, like, can't seem to get there.
It's close. It's on the horizon. You've got your destination set.
Yeah, my sights are set, but it's just pulling the trigger.
But I mean, you know, for me, the last, I mean, which ties in nicely to what we've just been talking about. The last game I've been playing, I fired up last night, just quickly, just to see it, was Arkham Knight, because they have released part of the final DLC package, and that was Ben Affleck's Batsuit. So the Batfleck Batsuit that's going to be in Batman vs Superman next year. They now have Batman in that. They also had the Batmobile as well from that movie, so you can drive around in the new Batmobile. You can be dressed as the new Batman, which is very similar to the Dark Knight Batman, but it just looks so good. So I fired it up, downloaded the DLC. I think while I was playing a bit of Star Wars, I was kind of juggling between PS4 and Xbox, and fired it up, donned the Batsuit in Batman, took a couple of pictures, tweeted them, of course,
of course,
and then had a quick play, just messing around in Gotham, and it just looks so good. I did tweet that I'm ready for a New Game Plus, but anyone who read that tweet probably knew that I have no time to play that. But I really do. I love the new Batsuit. The Batfleck suit just looks fantastic.
Yeah, it's a beautiful game. It really is a beautiful game. They dropped the PC version from sale.
Completely, haven't they?
Yeah, can you believe that? They couldn't,
and refunded people as well.
They couldn't make it fit for purpose. Unbelievable. First time ever, I think, that's happened.
Yeah, that's absolutely incredible. There was another game, wasn't there, that was removed this week, which was Afro Samurai 2. Didn't even know it was out.
Oh, yeah, they said it ran its course or something, didn't they?
Yeah, said it was so bad that they just gave people their money back.
Yeah. Not even so bad it's good. You know, you can still make a profit out of so bad it's good, but just so bad it's just poo.
So bad, we'll just give you your money back. So let's start the news section. And in this week's news section, we're going to talk about that super secret PlayStation 2 backwards compatibility that Sony seem to have just been rolling out without telling anyone. PS4s are selling like hotcakes, and we also have all of those free games for December. So the first piece of news is with me, and this is that Sony have enabled backwards compatibility, and they've done it, and they didn't really tell anyone. It was kind of broke by a Eurogamer article this week, saying that they received their Star Wars, their Super Edition Star Wars Battlefront on their PS4, and along with Star Wars Battlefront, they also got download titles for Super Star Wars, which I still can't find on the PS Store. It's still not available in the UK yet.
I tried to find it for you when you were away, because you said it wasn't there, so I waited a few hours, because it sometimes updates later. I had to check, because I wanted to say, hey man, it's there, but no, it's not there, is it? It's disappointing.
I even checked in the airport. I joined the free Wi-Fi in the airport at JFK, and I was just like, I was just checking just to see, because that's what I wanted to play on my way home. But anyway, I digress. So they had Super Star Wars Jedi Starfighter, Racer's Revenge, and also Star Wars Bounty Hunter. And quite weird that when the team booted up these old titles, the PlayStation titles, an old PlayStation 2 logo came up in all of its kind of poorly upscaled glory, which is what they put in their article, which really made me chuckle.
Yeah, I recognise that quote there.
Yeah, and then Eurogamer kind of also reported that there were systems in place that emulate the PlayStation 2 memory card save point in games, and they also said that if you hit the start and select buttons could be accessed by pressing both left and right on the DualShock 4's trackpad. So PlayStation have emulated, and they've started to emulate PlayStation 2 games. Now, that was the initial article that was the end of last week. Sony it has been updated, and again, it's on Eurogamer. I'll stick a link to it. But a Sony representative has sent a statement to Eurogamer, said, we are working on utilising PS2 emotion technology to bring PS2 games to the current generation. We have nothing further to comment at this point. So this means that obviously Xbox One has the backwards compatibility for the Xbox 360 titles. We've got about 104 at the moment, but this could potentially mean that there is a ginormous library that could be opening up for PlayStation 4. Now, obviously, this is prime because at the weekend we've got next weekend we've got that PlayStation experience happening in San Francisco. So is this something that they're going to announce? Are they going to say, as from tomorrow, as from tonight, you can download X amount of PS2 games?
Wow, I hope so. That'd be so great. Sony, whenever I bank on Sony or hope that Sony are going to say something, I'm usually disappointed, so I don't even hope for it, but it would be nice. And it's like these days, because we're at a stage now, at the start of gaming and early on with your consoles and stuff, you just had your console and that was fine. You had enough games on that to be happy and content. But as we've grown and gone through different systems, and had a PS2 and had a PS3 and a PS4 and an Xbox and an Xbox 360 and an Xbox One, it's sort of not practical to keep that amount of hardware in your gaming space. And it's also, it used to be the case that really when the next gen came out, you would not look back to the old games because they were quite primitive. But that's not the case. Once you got to I think you could argue that even when you got to Super Nintendo, and there is obviously some classics before that, before people start shouting at me, there's some great 8-bit games that I love, School Days. I'm not going to go into a list, actually. But so what I'm saying is that it makes it that emulation is important because gaming reached a stage, if not at SNES, at SNES there's some classic games, but certainly with PS2 where there's some real diamond games out there that a lot of gamers like myself, and I'm sure like yourself, would be or are loath to be missing out on because you don't want a massive pile of obelisks in your gaming space just so you can play, I don't know, Shadow of the Colossus occasionally. But wouldn't it be great to be able to play it on the system that you've got? So the fact that these games they're not just fossils. There are games on the PS2 that are beautiful examples of gaming, of progress in gaming, of the evolution of gaming, and more important than that, just damn fun to play. So it's great news that they've obviously cracked it and they can emulate PS2. I mean, PS3 is another matter, but there's so many great games on the PlayStation 2. It would be a sin not to give it to us. But the thing is that's holding it back is the PS Now thing, isn't it? Because they want you to pay £12 a month to play old games, even if you've already bought them. And that's what sickens me, and that's what was so funny about that Microsoft advert of their backwards compatibility. It's like, we won't charge you for things you've already paid for, and I like that because Sony did the same to them, obviously. But it's like, well, Sony, if you're all about the consumer, then why are you doing that? It's like there's also what was it? Doesn't matter about that point. I might edit that out, or I might just leave it because it's funny. But
it's quite funny because obviously because Eurogamer have reported it, Digital Foundry have done some great comparisons, and they're saying that the original resolutions of the PlayStation 2 is like 512 by 448, and all of these games are now running in the native resolution of the PlayStation 4, which is 1292 by 896, and that's just amazing. My problem is I looked at those games and I really want to play Super Star Wars, but the other ones I'm not bothered about. As you say, there are some great games on the PlayStation 2, but when you've got games like Battlefront, when you've got games like Fallout, when you've got games like Lara Croft, do you really want to play? I don't know. Do you really want to play Time Splitters 2?
No,
right
I
now?
agree. No, I wouldn't want to play that. But I think there are some games that I wouldn't mind looking back to have a quick go on. It would never be really to invest as much time as you'd invest, or that I would invest in Fallout or Star Wars Battlefront or Rise of the Tomb Raider. But nevertheless, it would be nice to easily be able to go back and have a look and appreciate what you once enjoyed. But I would not do that for a charge. I would not do that I would. If they were charging something more realistic, like I don't know, say an extra £20 a year, I would probably be tempted because I'd like the freedom to be able to look back without a load of palaver of setting up with my PS2. But like you say, it wouldn't be for I can't imagine that I'd go and start playing Vice City, for instance, from start to finish on an old console. And I was going to ask you this, what PS2 games would you love to play? And for me, it'd probably be Shadow of the Colossus would be one, and Katamari. We love Katamari, the second Katamari Damacy game, because I loved that game so much. And both of those games I could have a quick go of and enjoy. Hopefully I could sort of put a cheat code in, because I couldn't be bothered with the Shadow of the Colossus to unlock all the levels, so I could play the level that I like, and I'd enjoy that. It'd be fantastic to appreciate it. If it was upscaled a bit, that would be a bonus. But even just as nature intended, I'd be happy with. But it's not a necessity. It's certainly not something I'm going to pay £12 a month for. But they've got to be aware. They are aware, and it must be giving them the needle that Microsoft are offering this kind of thing for free if you've already bought it, and they're offering it for the 360. So they've got PS3 to think about as well as PS2.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can't help but think about, for me, there is one game, and I've said previously that I would love to just continue playing Ni no Kuni. The problem for me is I have given away my PlayStation 3. I gave that away to charity, so that I would have to play that from the start, which is not a bad thing, But one of the things, if you are comparing this backward compatibility, Microsoft have done a better job of this, because I've uploaded all of my saves to the cloud. So when I fire up Viva Pinata, when I fire up Banjo-Kazooie, when I fire up Gears of War, I'm coming off of a save that I did years and years ago.
So wise to do that. That's great. Forward thinking.
Exactly, but if I fire up We Love Katamari, I've got to play that from the start. So I can't help but feel that would be something that I would just dip into.
Yeah. And you wouldn't dip into that much, because for me, We Love Katamari, my favourite level is the last level, where you roll up so big that you roll up the world. But to get to that, I'd have to do the whole damn game. And some of the levels I didn't enjoy that much, because the music wasn't as good as other levels. It was all about the music and the rolling. And I don't want to go through that palaver. I would just want to go to the level that I always loved. And I wouldn't be able to do that. So you're right. Would we have the patience to spend, several hours to get to the bit we want to get to?
Absolutely. I mean, my patience was, I kind of saw how I valued the backwards compatibility stuff, when I got Fallout, because I got a code for Fallout 3, but I'm struggling to play Fallout 4 now, so there's no way I'm going to give it away, use it and play Fallout 3. So, I gave that away on our Lost Park Pod Twitter feed, because I was just like, there's probably someone out there that maybe hasn't bought Fallout 4 yet, wants to play Fallout 3, here you go, knock yourself out. And I was quite happy to just give that away, and the person who grabbed it was really appreciative and said, was really thankful. So that was I preferred that than to play it, and that's my problem. There are some games that I want to play. When I fire up the Rare Replay collection, there's some great games in there, and I really am enjoying it. But do I want to go back and play PS2 games? I just don't know. When they come out in the PlayStation experience next week, are they going to say, here is all of the titles, here's all, I doubt they'll say here's all kind of 1800, but they're going to say, here's a good chunk, here's 250. And people will probably go crazy over it, but it's not until that, I would like to see those statistics on all of that, to see how many people are actually playing the games, and what they're playing, and whether backwards compatibility is just a nice to have, or it is actually something that you would use.
More of a necessity. I think it's definitely, it's got to be just on the nice to have side of things. Necessary, not at all. It's a point for fanboys to argue about, but who cares about that? It's a nice to have. I'd like it, but as we say, we'd like it the way that Microsoft have done it. They've aced it with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's interesting with backwards compatibility, because, I'm one for, I will pick up an old graphic novel, like Watchmen, like Dark Knight Returns. I possibly read that every year. Every now and then I go, I've got it, I bought it, I have it episodically, I have it in graphic novel form, I've got it in absolute form, which is this big oversized one that I got for Christmas, and I also have it digitally as well. And every now and then, one of those things I just pick up and I go, I'm just going to sit and I'm going to reread this. And I do that, like movies. I will watch a movie time and time again. I have quite a big Blu-ray collection, because I am a person that would just go, do you know what, I fancy watching, I don't know, Iron Man today. I'm going to just watch that. And And so it's quite interesting that I'm not like that with games. I enjoyed playing through the Halo games again. Maybe that's because Halo 1 was tarted up, in the Master Chief Collection, so I enjoyed doing that. I enjoyed playing Gears of War Ultimate again because it looked better. So I think if I get a re-released upscaled game, I'm happy to play it. But if it's the same one that I played years and years ago, that's kind of less interesting to me.
Yeah, I can understand that. I would like to have it because I get nostalgic, and I can get the urge for a nostalgic evening of gaming, but it's not that important to me that I'll stump up a lot of cash.
Interesting. Right, so second piece of news, sir, is with you.
Thank you. Yeah, so this is only a quick one, really, and this is Minecraft Story Mode. Episode 3 has got not only a release date, but it's out now. So, yeah, it's called The Last Place You Look, Episode 3, and it arrived yesterday across all platforms. So, I haven't finished Episode 2 yet.
Wow, they're really cranking these out, aren't they?
They're cranking them out too quick for me. So yeah, it's. We've spoke about this before. I find that it's a little bit weak, really. I hate to admit it, but it's enjoyable to sort of watch, but there isn't that much interactivity.
Right.
But yeah, they're cranking them out, and I can't really give an opinion on more than like episode 1 at the moment because I've only played halfway through episode 2, and as we've been talking about, we're very distracted with other sort of blockbuster titles, and I love Minecraft, but even with Sam, he's been playing Battlefront with me. So me and him do speederbike, 2-player speederbike, which is great fun. So we haven't had time to investigate Minecraft, but I will, and I'll comment when I've done them all. But the way that it's going, we're getting one every few weeks, so I'll probably be able to sort of give my opinion on the whole set of 5 by January, I'd imagine. End of January.
It may even be worthwhile waiting and then just playing them as one big episodic game, just one big game, rather than waiting and kind of having breaks in between.
Rather than doing it piecemeal. Oh, thanks for that, Anthony. I will. Yeah. You're giving me an out, I'm taking it.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, I must admit, I was watching Walking Dead last night on Fox, and they had an advert for Minecraft Story Mode. It's quite a long advert as well. It was like an advert because it's you can buy it on a digital disc as well, a disc as well, can't you? Which
there is a physical copy.
Yeah, that's it. A physical copy that has some digital downloads on it. And they had an advert for it, and they were showing bits. I played the first episode, was quite excited. Even though I'm not big on Minecraft, I was very excited about the Goonies side of it, but I'm not tempted to go back in where the other story that I have, which is like Telltale, is that we got Game of Thrones finale is now available, and I've downloaded that and I'm ready to jump in again. Just need to find the time. I love that I can't find enough time to play these amazing games.
Fantastic problem to have.
Well, exactly. It's a first world problem, and I'm a first world person. It's just like, I'm going to get to it because Game of Thrones was really good. Both Game of Thrones and Borderlands, I have the finale for both of those, and I can't wait to jump in and play both of those. But my piece of news is that the Game of Thrones series has done so well that they are going to do a second season. So they confirmed. So Kevin Bruner, who is the CEO of Telltale, did a statement via the Hollywood Reporter and said, "We initially announced the series in 2013. This is a quote from Kevin. We let everyone know it would be a multi-title, multi-year partnership with HBO. After this week's finale, I'm pleased to officially confirm that there will be a second season of Telltale's Game of Thrones, which is currently in development." So I hope they have fixed that engine because it chugs a little bit, but very exciting because I did enjoy, both Tales from the Borderlands and Game of Thrones have been very, very good. They have been 2 of my favourite Telltale games so far.
Yeah, reports I've read say that the Borderlands one is like the best one they've ever done. And Game of Thrones is a nice distraction for everybody who's maybe waiting for George R.R. Martin to get on with the Winds of Winter.
Absolutely. Did you see the poster that HBO released yesterday
No.
for the next season? So the next season airs in April, and we've got a poster for like kind of.
Did he say like, and all of this hasn't been in the books because it won't have been?
Yeah, no, there was just a picture of a character. I won't spoil anything, but it was a great. Well, I guess it's a poster. You can't spoil a poster, can you? It was just a poster of Jon Snow, very up close and very bloody, and so it looked fantastic. You know, have you been watching the TV show?
Yeah, I watched the first season and then I was transfixed. The last episode bowled me over, so I bought the books, all the books that were out at the time, which was the first three,
Mm-hmm.
I think it was, and just read them. Just read them like a lunatic, you know, on the commute to work every day. I was just like, Game of Thrones. So I read them all. Then Dance of Dragons came out pretty much when I'd just finished the fourth book. So that was quite fortuitous. So I went and bought that. There was only hardback available, and I don't have a Kindle or anything. Well, I could have got it on my iPad, but I wanted the book.
Yep.
So I was lugging this great big tome around with me. But yeah, so I read that and I really loved it. And I mean, that was 2-3 years ago, from 3-4 years ago maybe now, and ever since I was been waiting for Winds of Winter along with all the other Game of Thrones fans. And during the last season of Game of Thrones TV show, it's caught up with where the books left off. So everything that's going to be in the next seasons has not been written. Well, it's not been published to the public. There's no book of what happens next. There may be a few little snippets, but the majority of the stuff that we're going to be seeing now is there's no more smugness for the people that have read the books, because we don't know any more than the guys that are watching the TV show. And there was a lot of things in the TV show from the last season that overspilled from what we'd read as well.
Yes, absolutely, and I understand, because I haven't read the books, but I understand that there are some things that are happening in the TV show that are also deviating from where the books are going as well, and there's some changes to some characters that you know. So
yeah, there certainly are.
It's quite interesting, because you know, you're right. There was, you know, when I have a whole group of friends that are kind of mad on Game of Thrones, and when the Red Wedding was coming up, you know, there was a lot of smugness going, "Oh, you wait until a couple of weeks' time," you know. And after I watched it, you're just like, what just happened? And I'm like, oh, you just got to that bit, did you? You know, they're all just kind of like, smug book reading git.
Yeah. I saw some YouTube videos of reactions to that.
Oh,
yes. Like, it's justified, though, you know. I mean, even though you get a warning of, oh, well, you're going to like that, or you're not going to like that, you could never have expected it, could you?
After the Red Wedding, they had that scene that was right at the end of an episode, and then the credits had no music whatsoever, so it was just a black screen with just text scrolling. And I remember just sitting there, and I just sat there until
traumatized.
Yeah, I didn't move until I was like, they just did that, you know, in a TV show, and I was just traumatized by the whole thing, because you didn't think it would go that, you know, it was like wow, and it just kept doing it. And I think, you know, Game of Thrones has done that time and time again, and it is a fantastic show, you know, and I do enjoy it. I must admit, the last season dipped a little bit occasionally. There was a couple of episodes that were a bit kind of, but you know, I think it redeemed itself at the end, and it was just fantastic. But
oh wow,
it was good.
That's funny, because for me, I found season 2 to dip a bit, but I found it redeemed itself with the last one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like it a lot.
The great thing about the Game of Thrones, the last season, is normally the second to last episode is normally the doozy. You know, that's normally the big one. But
yeah.
This year it was the third to last episode. So you're going, oh, this one will be a safe episode. It's probably just one character. It's a character building episode, and it wasn't. You know, it was just like a big thing happened. You know, it was very interesting. But yeah. So next piece of news with you.
Yeah. Just before we go on we talked about Telltale and Minecraft, but I did notice today, this is just an extra snippet really, that if you've got an Xbox One and you're on the fence about getting Minecraft, or if you've got where to get it, on Xbox One at the moment they're bringing out a Christmas pack for £22.99, and it's going to include loads of the usual stuff that you would pay extra for. So they're doing a big Christmas bundle. So if you're thinking about getting Minecraft and you've got an Xbox One, it'd be worth having a little read up about that. Maybe you want to get it from there, because they've got quite a bit of extra content that's going in with the game. It's a little Christmas special.
Oh,
so
superb.
I just thought I'd mention that. So the next piece of news I've got is that PS4s are just selling and selling. It's shot through the 30 million sales mark, the old PS4, having sold 30 million units worldwide, Sony announced. 30.2 million units were sold as of 22nd of November, so a few days ago. That's just over 2 years after the console went on sale, as we discussed. It's 2-year anniversary of the PS4. It means that the PS4 is the fastest-selling PlayStation console ever, said Sony. And just to put that into a bit of context, it's got to the 30 million mark 2 months faster than the PlayStation 2. PlayStation 2 being, up until this point, the best-selling console of all time.
Wow, that's incredible numbers, isn't it? It's just, it really has just like grabbed people, hasn't it? And we don't really know, do we, the numbers for Xbox One?
Microsoft haven't said. There's some unofficial guesstimates that put it at less than 16 million.
Wow. So
about, half of what Sony's managed. And that would concur with the statistics we were looking at a few weeks ago. Do you remember that little graph? And it was showing that the Xbox has sold just less than half of the PS4. So these figures, I mean, I can't really talk about the guesses about Microsoft, but it would certainly indicate that that's sort of in the right ballpark, wouldn't it?
Yes, it really would.
Yeah. So there you go. The PS4 is still selling, and it's kind of like a snowball effect that we discussed before at length. But it's almost because there's more PS4s selling, more people will get them because their friends have got them, and then so the network just grows, the spider web grows.
It really does, and I think we, as we were talking about at the top of the show, I think we experienced that with the Xbox 360. Everybody was getting an Xbox 360.
What's your mate got?
Yeah.
360, it's best.
Exactly.
And it didn't matter that the PS3 was more powerful because it was a bugger to develop for. Most ports of multi-platforms were inferior on it. Mm-hmm. So it started off with people getting 360s, and then their friends got them because their friends got them, and then their friends got them because their friends got them. Yeah. So that, maybe, we had a big debate about this a few weeks ago. Maybe it's just as simple as that.
But it's definitely, it's doing something right. It didn't even need to have all of those great first-party titles this year because, as we've said time and time again, if you look at all of the games we're playing, Fallout, Star Wars, Battlefront. Okay, I'm playing Lara Croft, but which should be a multi-console title. But a lot of the games that we're playing, a lot of games that we're invested in at the moment are cross-platform titles. So, it's an interesting time indeed.
Yeah, I think they generally have been. Witcher 3, with cross-platform.
Assassin's Creed is out there. Call of Duty, obviously, is just kind of, because we're that time of year. And so, it's an interesting one. So the next piece of news is with me, and it's all about those free games again. It's that time of the month again. It's free game time.
More games that we haven't got time to play.
More games that we'll download. Just putting our virtual loft. I
hope it's a load of dross, because I won't feel guilty then.
Oh, that's okay, because you'll be happy then. Well, not completely, because there are some good titles on here. But
I'm shocked that coming from you.
No, well, the first one, Games with Gold, over on the Xbox, they released theirs a couple of days. What we've got a couple of days ago, we have from December the 1st to 31st over on Xbox One, we have The Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing.
Oh, right.
Haven't heard of that one, but that's a new game that's coming out.
It's an impressive title.
A very impressive title. And then from the 16th of December to the 15th of January, we've got Thief. Now, I'm going to download this and I want to play this because I did play the demo of Thief and I quite enjoyed it.
So did I. It was the only demo available, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. And it looked quite lovely. It looked very cool. So it's definitely something that I'm going to play. So that's kind of Xbox One. Over on Xbox 360,
it's a full title. It's a big old game. Proper game that. So
absolutely, if you want to coin the phrase, it's a AAA game. Thief. It's a large franchise, and this was a real reboot of it. And I think it scored quite well when it came out as well, very early on in the console life cycle.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's kind of what we've got on Xbox One. And then over on Xbox 360, we have Castle Storm, which is an arcade title. And that's also, I think that was actually a Games with Gold for Xbox One a couple of months ago. But don't forget, all of these titles that I'm going to be talking about for Xbox 360 are also available via backwards compatibility on Xbox One. So,
in your face, Sony.
Aha! And so I'll tell you what, I'm looking at the Sony list. I am bummed that this isn't the same, because there's a couple of PS3 titles in the list. I tease you. There's a couple of PS3 titles that I would love to play, actually. So we have Sacred 3, which is going to be free through to the 1st to the 31st. And then we also have Operation Flashpoint Dragon Rising. Now, I quite enjoyed Operation Flashpoint when it came out. It was a Codemasters kind of current, set in the kind of current day war. It's kind of what a game that James and I were talking about a couple of weeks ago.
Like Full Spectrum Warrior.
That's it. Yeah, it was very much go over there, defend this point. It was very kind of commanding, and it looked fantastic. So that's coming out, and that's going to be available via backwards compatibility. So we're getting all of those, which is quite cool. So that's the games with gold for December. So, as you're saying, there's a couple of great titles there. We've got Flashpoint, we've got Thief. I'm not sure what Van Helsing is. Obviously, it's going to be a vampire hunter based on that story. Over on PlayStation Blog, they released today, the titles for PS Plus for December. At the top of the list for PlayStation 4, we've got Gauntlet Slayer Edition. Now, this is a kind of a remaster, a retake, I guess, if you will, on Gauntlet. So it's a 4-player co-op, single screen, dungeon trawl 'em up, which was the Gauntlet arcade cabinet that we used to play as a kid.
Yeah. It might be worth a little dip in that one, but they, for some reason, they haven't managed to make a good Gauntlet game, I think, since the original arcade.
Yes.
It's elusive. They keep trying.
They really do. They do keep. Every now and then you do get a remaster, don't you? Every now and then.
Yeah,
but
it's like, Gauntlet. I loved that as a kid, and then you play it and it's like rubbish. I've actually played recently the original Gauntlet.
Right.
And it could be that we had rose-tinted glasses about the original Gauntlet, but it was a thing of its day.
Well, it's all we had, wasn't it? So we just kind of made the most.
Yeah, speech.
Yeah, exactly. It was
Red Wire is about to die.
I used to love that game. And there was that and Golden Axe. They're the two that...
Golden Axe is classic. They could do a reboot of that. That'd be fantastic.
That would be so cool. So we've got...
Don't try and 3D it up. Just do a Demon 2D version.
Oh, God, you imagine how cool that would look. With like kind of updated graphics, but still 2D. Oh, that would be lovely. Anyway.
Yeah, sorry. Go
on.
Yeah,
so we've got Gauntlet Slayer Edition, and then we've also got King's Quest Chapter 1, A Night to Remember, KNIT, IGHT. So that is King's Quest, and that is so that's available. So episode 1, chapter 1 of that, which is a fantasy adventure in a really nice art style. It looks very cool, and I think that is actually a reimagining of a classic game, a classic King's Quest game. And then over on PlayStation,
I think that's part 1 as well, isn't it? It's going to be an episodic thing. Yeah,
it's 5 episodes.
So they're trying to hook you to. It's quite a smart tactic, that, isn't it? We'll give you this one for free. Pay for the other 4.
It's cheeky, and then
it is cheeky.
Over on PS3, and now this is the reason why I would love backwards compatibility to be to work, because over on PS3 we have Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon.
Oh, wow.
Is available for free. And it's quite funny because I was talking to a friend just the other night about this. We were talking about how we wish this was on the PlayStation 4 because it was... The soundtrack alone was amazing. It was such a... I remember downloading the game, just kind of... I had Far Cry 3, I downloaded it, I was listening to it on Major Nelson's podcast or something, there was an interview, and I was like, I've got to try that, and I downloaded it, and I just played through it the entire... It was amazing game, and that's available on the PlayStation 3. So if you have a PlayStation 3, grab Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon. And also, they get SSX as well on the PlayStation 3. So that was the kind of reboot, if you will, of the SSX3 franchise that came out a couple of years ago.
Wow, I think that one passed me by. I was thinking all I could think about was SSX Tricky.
Well, absolutely. This was they did a reboot. It was quite cool. You kind of jumped out of helicopters before you kind of hit the slopes. It was a really good kind of reboot of that series. I don't think it sold that well. I don't think it did that well critically either. But I enjoyed it. Well, Nicola and I were playing it on the Xbox 360.
Okay, so for those that are depending on the free games for December, the month of Christmas as well, the time of giving, PS3 owners that only own PS3s probably win out of everybody else It's a bit underwhelming for December. I thought it might be something special.
Well, there is something a little special. It's almost like you set me up there, because there is something a little special for me.
Just for you. What about the rest of us?
Well, if you have a PlayStation Vita, you've got something very special. Not only have you got Rocket Birds, the hard-boiled chicken edition, which is just I'll tell you what, I'll read the description. It's you annihilate an evil penguin regime in Rocket Bird's Hard-Boiled Chicken, a cinematic platform adventure game offering fun solo or co-op campaigns. So that's coming out on the PS Vita. But the biggest one, and a game that I've always been very tempted to buy and almost bought it when I was in the airport last week, is Freedom Wars. So Freedom Wars, which is a JRPG, looks incredible. It's got a great anime style. It's always one of those ones where I'm like, I'm going to get that. I'm going to get Freedom Wars. And every now and then, when I'm looking through the PlayStation Vita store for something to play, I'm always hovering over Freedom Wars. I think it was about £20, but for some reason I was always just kind of, maybe that will be a PlayStation Plus game, and it is this month, so I am going to be playing that. And it's quite a grindy game. It's very similar to the vein of, I guess, like Monster Hunter or something like that.
Oh, nice.
It looks fantastic. It's made by Sony Computer Europe. It is a AAA game on your Vita.
Cool. Are any of those two Vita by any chance crossover?
No, on the PlayStation blog it just says because normally they have like PS4/PS Vita.
Yeah,
but
usually one of the Vitas is crossover, isn't it?
Well, exactly. Rocket Birds is quite an interesting one because I have seen Rocket Birds on the PlayStation Store for PS4, so I'll be interested in that. But Freedom Wars is just purely a Vita game.
Okay, cool. Well, lots of free games again.
So lots of free games. They're still trying, and they're still trying hard to kind of one-up each other. Sony's ones are a bit interesting this month, but like I say, I'm very happy with Freedom Wars.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm not going to moan about the free games at all because it's just a bonus really. And to be honest, I'm glad, like I said before, because I haven't got the time to play them anyway. But there's been a few gems, Rocket League, Spelunky. They were both on PlayStation actually.
Well, don't forget, you only have a couple of days at the time of recording this. You only have a couple of days to still bag Walking Dead Season 2 on the PlayStation 4 and also Mass Effect 2 on the PlayStation 3.
Yeah, I've been bagging everything. So I've now got Walking Dead Season 1 on Xbox One and Walking Dead Season 2 on PS4. So one day I might fire up the Walking Dead on PS4 and see what it does. Remember, we discussed what would happen if you didn't have a save.
Yes.
So I might actually get around to doing that, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon.
Not at all. No hope in hell.
No hope in hell. So the next item is that we discussed, I think it might have been last week, that Hideki Kamiya from Platinum Games did a poll on Twitter asking what you would like him to make a sequel to. Do you remember that?
Yep.
And it was a list of Devil May Cry, Beautiful Joe, or Okami. And guess what won? Okami.
Yay! I think we both plumped for that, didn't we? That was the one that we wanted. So.
Yeah, we both went for that. I think we went for Beautiful Joe as a close second.
Yes.
Now, in the results of the poll, there's a fourth game called, must be Bayo. Maybe that's Bayonetta. But it can't because that's had a sequel. So Bayo, I don't know what that is. That gets 22%. But Okami came in with 43%.
Wow.
Devil May Cry, 22%. Beautiful Joe came last with only 13%. I thought Beautiful Joe would be second.
Wow, that's really interesting. But it shows, exactly what we were talking about last week, where this was a real kind of let's just dip our toe and see what people want, and obviously there was a quite a large majority wanted Okami.
Yeah, absolutely. Okami is a beautiful game with its own great aesthetic. Really love it. It's one of those games that could work on any system as well. Like we said about the Wii U's sort of held back by its technical capabilities, but something like Okami 2 on the Wii U would be really good. But it was only a poll. He's not said he's going to make them. It was just a little distraction, a little bit fun.
He was bored in the airport, so he just decided to put a Twitter poll out there.
Yeah, he wastes our time reporting on it.
Superb. The next one is with me. It's a real kind of quick but a fun thing that I saw, and I'm definitely going to be doing this, and I'm sure you will as well, Daz. But we have Rock Band 4 is getting free Fallout 4 outfits. I am going to be equipping the entire band of the Ron Swanson Experience, my Rock Band 4 band is going to be decked out in Vault 111.
Is that what it is? The blue and yellow Vault outfit?
Yes. It's the Vault suits. So I'm so going to be doing that. Oh, and so that's coming out on December the 8th. So we had a post on the Rock Band's forum on December the 8th, which I believe is the same day that Rock Band's getting a bit of a patch, isn't it? Where other titles or other songs are going to be available. So Rock Band is getting a patch on that date, and that will also bring Vault 111 suits will be added to Rock Band 4. Best news is that it's completely free, so you're not wasting any money looking like the Survivors of the Wasteland, which is maybe it's quite a good name for your band.
Survivors of the Wasteland. That is a good name.
You're welcome.
I wonder if you can change your name once you've selected it.
Yeah, you can.
Oh, yes. Awesome! Because I just picked a random one because I just wanted to play.
Right.
So I was like, oh, that'll do, because I couldn't think of a good one. But Survivors of the Wasteland's pretty cool. I may change it, but I like your Ron Swanson one. I'm going to have to think of something cool like that.
I love that. It just makes me chuckle every time I go into it.
I don't suppose I forgive you if you can't remember, but can you remember what Ron Swanson's alter ego is?
Yes, I can. He's the saxophone player.
Yeah, but what's his name? Is it? He's got like a pseudonym, hasn't he? That he uses as that. It's sort of like, I don't know what it is. It's some I don't know, like Smooth George or something like. He's got a special name, hasn't he, for his saxophonist?
It really does. Oh, I'm not googling it right now.
Never mind then. I thought you might know because I know you're a fan. It just occurred to me then.
Duke Silver.
What?
Duke Silver.
Duke Silver.
Yes.
You're going to have to change it to the Duke Silver Experience.
Oh, that's it.
I knew he had a fantastic name.
It's really interesting. I have the very last 2 episodes of Parks and Rec just sitting, waiting to be watched, and it's really funny. Nicola and I don't want to watch it because then it's going to be over. It's the last 2 episodes of season 7, and so we've watched all of them, and then we went on holiday, and then we were sitting down last night. We're like, oh, should we watch those last 2? We're like, no. And it's almost like it needs to be something special to watch the last 2 episodes, because the last series is bonkers, but it's really good. It's really cool. But sorry, I digress.
No, that's okay. It's a good show. I think I got up to. I don't know, for some reason gave it a break. I got up to where they it kind of split between 2 places. I don't want to spoil anything, but she went off to do something somewhere else. You know what I'm talking about there?
I do indeed.
And so it split off. And I don't know what season that was. It must be. I got quite far into it, though.
No, I think that was like season 4, I think, that you got into. I think that sounds like season 4, and there was season 7, and the season 7's not, I think the season 7 only has about 14 episodes, and season 6 is quite a short one as well.
Yeah, and you can fly through them really quick, because they're only short episodes, aren't they? About 20 minutes.
Yeah, they're about 22 minutes per episode, and I have to say that I think like Ron Swanson and Leslie Knope are potentially 2 of my favourite characters in comedy. They're just amazing. I do love this program so much. So I think like Nicola and I might just sit down at the weekend and watch the last 2.
Oh yeah, make it a special time.
It will be. We're sad.
Good old Parks and Rec. So yeah, the next piece of news is with me, and that is, if you're a fan, you'll probably already know, but the Bloodborne DLC has dropped, and that is called The Old Hunt. So yeah, the Bloodborne DLC has come out. It's an expansion. It's coming out for the PS4 exclusive Bloodborne, which is an absolutely fantastic game. Absolutely fantastic game. It's that good, I thought I'd say it twice. It's going to cost £15.99, and it came out yesterday, 24th of November. And yeah, it's by all accounts a great expansion. It's in the typical sort of Dark Souls-esque Bloodborne style. It's even difficult to access the content that you've bought.
You're a demon. I was just about to ask you, how do you access it? Is it convoluted? Is it?
Yeah. You've got to do some stuff. You've got to make sure that certain things have already been done, or you won't be able to get there.
Really?
Yeah, so you're probably going to need a wiki, unless you're very lucky to get there. I'm not going to say what you do, because I consider it a spoiler, because if I bought it, I'd want to see if I could fathom it out myself.
Right.
First of all. And I think people that are banging to Bloodborne would probably want the same. They'd want that sort of just not spoiled experience. But yeah, it's puts you into sort of a rehash of one of the areas from the game, which is a little bit strange. So it's not a whole new area. It's called the Hunter's Nightmare, and it's a twisted version of the area that surrounds the Grand Cathedral and the early parts of the city that you may have already played through, or you will have already played through, if you've got a hope in hell of getting into the expanded content that you may have paid for. So there are brand new locations in it as well, but the beginning is sort of set here, and there's new enemies from the start, and it's hard. It's really hard. 5 new boss battles in there as well, which is, that's what it's all about. It's facing up to these disgustingly grotesque, scary bosses that you just don't think you've got a chance of defeating, and just working out how can your insignificantly small character take on these massive creatures and come out of it a winner. And that's what Bloodborne's all about. They suggest that if you're going to take it on, you should be at least level 65 to play on this expansion. But I think it's going to be a tough job no matter what level you are. And that's a game that I like you, I flapped my wings and flew away from it and alighted on another game. I think it was what took me from Bloodborne. It was The Witcher.
Yes.
That lured me away from Bloodborne, and that's on my shelf, and I'm still determined to go back to it. I know exactly where I am, and sometimes I feel guilty. I sometimes imagine, right, this is really weird. Have you ever thought, right, that when you save a game and don't go back to it, that you're leaving that character in that place? Or is that just me being completely ridiculous?
No, that's hilarious. I think it's adorable, but I think that's hilarious. But I've never thought of it that way. I always feel the other way, where I always feel bad for the developer who's looking at the data mining of the game, and they realise, because I think there was Fallout. Even they pushed some stats out last week. They said that there was 14% of people that have started playing Fallout haven't left the vault yet.
Wow! But they don't care. They've had the money.
No, I know, but you probably still do care.
As an artist.
You've spent a lot of time, effort, blood, sweat, tears in creating this game, and then to have such a small percentage of people that haven't even left the vault or have just left their character in mid-Bloodborne hell. It's just like, it must hurt.
It was Dark Souls 2 that made me think of it, because I was in it. Well, it's all pretty morbid and just scary and depressing, and why does anybody play it? I'm not selling it very well, am I? But it gets under your skin, that game, like nothing else. And I left this guy. I was like, I'd had enough, and I just left him. And he was surrounded by lava. It's all gloomy. And I think one night I couldn't sleep or something. I woke up a stupid little hour in the morning, and I just lay there thinking of stuff. For some reason, I was thinking about Bloodborne. And I was like, the poor guy in Dark Souls it was. I was like, he's just there. And I just thought of him in limbo. And then I thought, I wonder if, whenever you stop a game, say these characters had a soul, like Baron von, what's his name? Baron Humbert von Gickengud from The Cat Returns, for instance, or the other Ghibli film that I can't remember with it in. And he says that anything that's created and given a soul comes to life. So imagine that these characters in games have been created with so much love that they've got a soul. Or you love the game so much that the character takes on a soul and becomes a thing. And like when you abandon them in some terrible place because you've had enough, they're there in limbo forever. So I feel bad because my guy in Bloodborne is stood in the middle of a poisonous swamp, surrounded by terrible giants, and it's just not good. And he's been there for about 5 months. It's just bad. So you never thought that then, mate?
No, I've never, but I will now.
Have a care. That's what I'll say.
My little tearaway character that I left halfway through a game on the PS4, I'm just thinking of him now, just kind of sitting there, just kind of bored, waiting. Like when you left Sonic or Mario,
tapping his
Mario
foot.
64, just like sitting there, just kind of head in his hands, waiting for you to play him.
Never turn off a console when your character's half submerged in lava or anything like that, because think of the prolonged agony. It's not right.
That's just hilarious. Awesome.
So anyway, just to recap, Bloodborne DLC's out.
Fantastic. I was, in a way, I'm glad that it was a little bit convoluted about how you get to there, because I didn't want it just to be an option in the menu, if there's even a menu in Bloodborne. I didn't want it being an option. I wanted it to be something a little bit kind of, a little bit devious, a little bit hard to kind of get to.
Yeah, I can see what you mean there. It's like so hardcore that when you put the disc in the PS4 or whatever, it shuts down, and you've got to sort of work out how to get it on. That's part of the game. There's no menu, no buttons on the pad work. You've just got to work it out, and you're just getting hit all the time, and you're just kind of like, well, what have I got to do?
What do I do?
Like trying to beat Psycho Mantis, but like infinitely worse. Yeah, so I think I've got a little rush then of a few extra things to go through here.
Awesome.
So
hit me.
Are you ready for these? I mean, you may know some of them, you may not. What have we got here? So yeah, digital games are selling well, and the market is up 7% by last year.
Wow.
So yeah, there's an industry analyst firm called Superdata, and that's brought out a report based on the digital market for the month of October, and it reports a 7% year-on-year increase to $5.5 billion in global spend, which is quite a lot. Yeah,
that's really good. I must admit, when we were talking about MPDs last week, and we're talking about, when we were talking about Battlefront sales just then, I really wish that Sony and Microsoft would start publishing those digital titles. I think, we've said previously that Major Nelson used to do it on his website, where he used to do so. These are the top games that have been played on Xbox, digital games this month, and it would be really cool just to kind of see how much is actually being downloaded, and how much people are kind of embracing this digital games market.
Yeah, well, your physical shops, your bricks and mortar stores, seem to be somewhat reluctant to admit that digital sales could be the reason for a drop in their sales, because I don't know if you noticed, but there was a few things on line either today, yesterday, last few days, that GameStop had an investor briefing this week, in which it talked about underwhelming performances from recent blockbuster games, like Halo 5, Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and Star Wars Battlefront. So they're saying, they didn't quite hit the numbers that they expected to sell. So they're explaining this to their investors, and they just said, we don't know why or whatever. They just said it's an underperformance. I don't think they gave a reason for it, but we know what the reason is. The reason is that more and more people are buying digitally, which affects the sales of the physical copies from your bricks and mortar stores.
Yes.
When I first saw the article about GameStop, or the many articles that cropped up about GameStop's investor briefing, I was like, okay. They didn't say anything. I was like, I wonder what that is. Then all of a sudden you see an article like this one that's giving you firm data that the digital market is on the up, and that sort of fills in your gap, doesn't it? So
it really does.
It's interesting. The digital console purchases saw a massive year-on-year revenue spike of 14% to $375 million.
Wow!
So it's getting bigger in spite of my disapproval of it, and my only reason is my disapproval is I don't want us all to be held captive with no bricks and mortar, no competition, essentially, because I don't relish paying £50-60 per game. Because of the competition, I get the physical copies, and there's a lot of competition. I got Battlefront for like 38.
Yes.
In a digital only future, I think I'd be getting Battlefront for 55. And you only get so many of those, and before you know it, for every so many games I get, that's a game I'm missing out on, if you know what I mean.
Yes. But, it's quite interesting because, are those titles that expensive because they have to please GameStop, etc.?
Yeah, I think they do, because they distribute the consoles at the moment, don't they?
Exactly. So if those places didn't exist, when I was in New York last week, there was like 3 Microsoft stores. So there was a big Sony presence in Times Square. There's a Nintendo store, which was awesome. There was a Nintendo store. So they all had hardware there. I know that's kind of a major city, but they all had outlets, and so I didn't see there was a Toys R Us, but I didn't see a GameSpot anywhere in New York, look when I was walking around, but I saw all of these stores. I saw a Microsoft store. So, if they did, and I don't want it to happen, but if they did go, would that mean that Microsoft and Sony would start dropping the digital prices? Because, you're right, what I'm buying my games for on digitally, and I bought all of the lineup this year on Xbox have all been digital. I am playing that premium title, that premium price for that title. There's
a couple of things I'd like to say about that. First of all, I'd like to think that they would drop the price because blatantly they're not paying the overheads of having a store. So it would be cheaper, and the distribution is a doddle because it's down the wire. So I'd like to think they would, but seriously, if people are going to pay the money, they're not going to change it, are they? If people are paying and if the line's going up at the prices that are at the moment, that's what they're going to stay at. I would imagine from a business point of view. It's a business at the end of the day, and it's not good. And without competition, what's to stop them? The other point, is, in a more sort of light-hearted note, is that I envy you in a way, though, because I'm playing these two games as well, but I'm playing both on physical. So you know what I have to do? I have to get up, don't I? I have to get up and change the disc.
Yep, you have to get up, probably groan like an old man.
It's a damned inconvenience.
Exactly. I know.
It makes me want to pay the price of admission to the digital world because I'm getting sick of swapping Fallout for Star Wars.
I love it. I just sit there and I'm just like, yep, fancy a bit of Star Wars now, and I just fire up my PlayStation and there it is.
The other half with.
Yeah, it's great. It is. Again, it's a first world problem, and I'm a first world advocate, but there's something about it that is just it's very nice that you're sitting there on your Xbox. I'm playing Halo, finish that, a bop of the main button, I'm back out to the system, I'm playing Fallout, without even moving.
It's very here and now, isn't it?
It's lazy. I'm going to end up like those guys at the end of WALL-E. But it's just fantastic. It is. It very kind of fits the way that we are at the moment in society, I guess, isn't it? I want it now, and I want it easy.
Yeah, over the counter culture, but it is convenient. You don't want to be messing about. We are very instant these days, and that's the great benefit of it. And you've got it there, and it's installed. But you can't. But then again, you can't trade it in, and you pay a premium on it as well. So
if I didn't like Fallout 4, obviously I would shoot myself. But if I did like Fallout 4, I could take it to game and say, don't like this, trade it in, as I'm going to do with Call of Duty when I finish it.
Yeah. So because you knew that you were going to trade it in, though, that's why you bought it physical? Would I be right in
that's
offering
right.
that up? Yeah, fair enough. You see, it's rare that I'd keep a game forever. So I often get rid of them. And that's a future that will disappear with digital. But I just pray and cross my fingers. It's a bit like the future that I'm scared of with the slimming down of games and games doubling in price, but sort of with a stealth tax for the rest of the game in DLC that we discussed earlier. I also worry about a digital-only future in which the games not only stay at the point they are now, which I think is unrealistic, when, for the reasons we've already discussed, they don't have storefronts to consider and things like that, but also that they could tip them up as well with no competition. And being a gamer, if something amazing comes out, I'd have to get it. But it just mean I'd get less. Just get less games, I suppose. If they weren't that expensive, I'd have to be more discerning.
But if you think about it, if you look at the landscape, of games that we've got this year, the amount of AAA titles that are all fighting for our buck, there are, I mean, you and I are quite lucky because we do buy a lot of games, but there are some people, as we were talking about, little Johnny.
He doesn't have it easy.
He can only buy one game. So what we need to make sure if we go digital is we need to make sure that those third-party titles, those third-party publishers that exist, so your Activision, your EA, your Ubisofts, that they do still exist and they are very much independent from Sony and Microsoft, because hopefully if they still exist they can then charge their own price, because do you think, I mean, I don't know how the contracts are, but EA would say to Microsoft, you can sell this for X pounds on your store, or do you think Microsoft say, well, that's a £50 game? I think it's more the other way, where EA would go, here you go, here's the Battlefront 3 distribution files, could you set the price at £40? And I see this year, I think, we've had great seasons. A lot of people say that, it's always a crazy season, but this year we're having more and more of these open world titles. We've got Fallout, we've got Witcher, they've got Lara Croft. There's a lot of these open world titles, and they take a lot of time. So, I mean, if I look at what I've done this year and buying all of these games, I must be crazy because I've spent a whole load of money and I'm only playing one of the games. It's just it's like having a drive full of cars and I only drive one of them. But I do that because it's my hobby. It's because of what I'm excited about. But if we had more and more of games like this, more and more years like this, something's got to give, because it will either be people spending or the price of those games to allow us to pay them, to buy and play them. But on the flip side of that, the games that we're getting right now are worth the money, I think, as well. Battlefront's a bit light, we've already talked about, but, Arkham Knight, Fallout,
Yeah, but we were both happy to pay the money for Battlefront. We knew we knew the score, really, what we were getting, but, that's because we love the franchise, and we're both happy with it. We can see that it objectively is thin, but we still love it.
Yes, but, and so what I was trying to, if I was trying to say anything at all, which is the quote from Iron Man, it was that,
Sorry,
if we
mate.
that was just my quote from Iron Man. If we have a digital-only environment, then hopefully that would draw down the prices, and because we've got all of these great games all coming out around this same time, which has always been crazy to me, that we need to throw out all of these games in November and we can't space them out throughout the year. But, maybe that will drive the prices down, if that's, who knows, because if you start looking at all of these games that at the moment they're in premium titles, after Christmas, they all just start dropping in price. Games start having crazy sales. Amazon has crazy sales. So, I know they probably do that because they've made their money on it already, but, why do the games have to be that expensive?
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose, I imagine that Microsoft and Sony take their cut from the game for being on their storefront. So they're going to take their percent, and your publisher has to account for. And depending on I was going to say greed, but the ambition or the target that the publisher stroke Microsoft want to hit with a game, that influences the price. Now, if they stayed high, it's disappointing, but obviously if you take out Microsoft stroke Sony infrastructure out of the equation there, then the prices could be reduced by that percent, whatever that would be. And that sort of harks back to what we've discussed before, that our mate Mr. Pacta forwarded, that you would have a single platform, and then you just pay your subscription to the publisher. Like, you could play your Activision subscription and get all the Activision games, or another way, or you pay just your Call of Duty, you just pay a license for a game, or even you pay a subscription for all games. Do you know what I mean? You pay a yearly or a monthly fee. So that could be one way around it. But the other point I was going to make is precisely this, yes. So if it did go really high, and like for instance for me, if I decided that it was unacceptable, even though I love my consoles and I love gaming, but if it'd have to go, quite high but it gave me the needle that much. I got the hump. I was like, right, that's it. You know what I'd do? I'd fly to PC. Yes. Most of the games come out on PC as well. I'd get involved with Steam and Origin on the online stores. I'd get myself a kick-ass PC, gaming 4K, and I'd be buying my games for 25 quid, £30. And I'd say sayonara to all that.
Yeah, exactly, and that's kind of the point I was trying to make with PC. They've already done this. They are, as you were saying earlier. We had 2% of people who bought Battlefront bought it on PC because they don't buy those physical copies. They've already gone over to that digital download.
Yeah, now, why do you think such a massive percentage have? It must be because of the price is right.
Well, exactly. So, how much was Battlefront on PC? I bet it was a fraction of the cost on the Steam store. I bet it was a fraction of the cost. I
bet it was like 25. Absolutely.
I paid what, £50, £54 for my digital copy of Star Wars Battlefront on the PlayStation 4. And that's but I would be really interested to see if on Amazon, exactly how how cheap that is. There you go. It's £32.
Okay, and that's on Amazon. You probably get a cheaper deal.
Yeah. So this is... So the deluxe edition... The deluxe edition on Origin, it was the same price as my PS4 edition. So
right. So quite, there's definitely a difference there, isn't there? And that's it. So if it came to the crunch and they started squeezing those gamers too much, the console gamers, I think you'll find that we will migrate away. And you're storing them on your hard drive, but you know what? I was going to say it's not difficult to get a new hard drive for a PC, but then these days you can just add an external drive.
Yeah.
To your consoles as well. But on a PC it's even cheaper if you get an internal drive. They're like not expensive items to get. Yeah, you've got your outlay for your PC, but that's going to last you a while, and you will be part of the master race. but as well.
Yeah,
but yeah, you could just flick, couldn't you? So we are protected. There is some competition with the PC market. Sorry to sort of just finish that there.
No, absolutely. And as you say, you can buy more drive. I mean, for the first time, Star Wars Battlefront, because I went away on holiday, I was expecting it would be downloaded, but it wasn't because I ran out of space on my PS4. So that had never happened to me before. So I had to go, and all those games that I'd bagged as part of the PlayStation Plus, I had to go and delete some of the beefier ones. So, and you can just do that. And I did think, as I was deleting some of the games, I was like, it's okay because they're not going anywhere. If I want to play whatever game, I can just go and download it. It doesn't take that long. So it's not a case of buying more external drive. It's just a case of, just juggling what you've got on that drive.
Yeah, managing what you've got. You don't have to get anything extra. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think we pretty much sorted that out then. We put that straight, didn't we?
There you go. Done.
Demon. Right, that's the end. See you later. The next thing I've got is, you mentioned last week about the Video Game Awards.
Yes.
Jeff Keighley's gone on Twitter and he's announced there's going to be 10 world premieres at the Game Awards, which is next Thursday.
Excellent. I'm gonna wait up and watch it, I think.
What time's it on at our time?
It's probably going to be 2:00 in the morning, I should think. But I'm happily gonna sit and watch that. I've just got work on Friday. I can play.
I'll just read your texts in the morning.
Yeah, I'll have it on my iPad and I'll play Star Wars Battlefront. So I'll be. I mean, it's interesting actually because while we've been podding, Jeff Keighley has actually tweeted and said one of those world premieres is going to be Far Cry Primal.
Oh wow, cool! That's something that was not been seen yet as well.
Yes, so Far Cry Primal will be one of the world premieres at the Game Awards next Thursday night.
Yeah, I wonder if we can define premiere as footage of an unseen game, rather than just unseen footage of a game we've already seen.
I think kind of, judging from previous video game awards, the premiere has always been, it's either gameplay or games we don't know about.
Yeah, I like the transition. It goes, world premiere. It's like really cool. You're like, oh, wow, what's it going to be? It gets me excited.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And so that'll be an interesting one next week if we get some new games. It'll be interesting to see if any of those are coming from Sony, because Sony are going to have their PlayStation experience, aren't they? So
so it'd be a good platform for them, or would they prefer to keep it to their own thing? Yeah,
it could be, but it wouldn't be a world premiere, would it? Because obviously, surely, they've got a stadium, an arena full of Sony fans, waiting for any new information, and so surely that's going to be a better way for them to get the information out rather than the Video Game Awards. So maybe it'll be Microsoft and Nintendo.
Well, yeah, you can rule out Nintendo.
Yeah, they've got nothing to show.
So it's Microsoft. Well, they have got the best gaming lineup in their history.
Yes, so, but we could get some titles that we haven't heard before. Maybe we'll get some release dates. Maybe that's the kind of premiere. We could get something like I'm sure if No Man's Sky is going to be announced, that's going to be a PlayStation experience, isn't it?
Yeah. Let's see. I mean, he did say at E3. Do you remember? He said, "We'll give you some information on release dates soon." Did they give us that? It was June, wasn't it?
June 2016.
Oh, so we've had that, which coincides with quarter 2 for PSVR, so we've had that discussion already, so sorry to forget that. Yeah, quite important. Cool. And so also Quantic Dream are bringing some PS3 games to PS4, which is good if you like Quantic Dream games. What do you think to them? Namely Beyond Two Souls, that's coming next week, and the other one is Heavy Rain.
Ashamed, and you're probably going to shout at me, but I haven't played either of them.
Oh, well, no, it just doesn't matter. I mean, they're certainly not to everybody's tastes. Yeah, they're certainly not to everybody's taste at all.
I think Heavy Rain appeals to me. I remember playing the demo of Heavy Rain, and that definitely appeals to me. So these titles that are coming to the PS4, have they been upscaled?
Good question. I don't know. Maybe they've done some secret emulation on the PS3, and when you boot them up, it's going to sort of do the PS3 logo and stuff. So, let me have a look. No, they've got some improvements. You're going to get enhanced 1080p.
Yeah, they probably already were 60 frames a second, I guess.
Yeah, they probably were. I mean, they were very staged. You know, it's not like they had an environment that had to be ready for whatever the player did because it was all scripted, pretty much.
So, have you played both of these?
I played Heavy Rain and finished it, which I enjoyed. I enjoyed it, you know, but I liked Dragon's Lair, you see. So I sort of don't mind a degree of non-interaction. But I suppose that makes me sound like loggerheads with what I said about Minecraft, but that was sort of not as fun as Dragon's Lair to me, in a way.
But since these games have come out, I've got big into the Telltale games. And I really enjoy Walking Dead.
These are like Telltale games, but just, you know, with bells and whistles, like beautiful games on PS3, absolutely stunning. And I'm like you, I love my graphics, so anything. That's why I love Dragon's Lair, because at the time playing a cartoon was a thing of dreams. So I loved it, even though it was just nonsense playing it. I mean, I still love it today. So yeah, you'd probably really like it. You know, so it might be worth dipping in. But
so if I had to choose between one of them, do you think Beyond Two Souls or Heavy Rain? More Heavy Rain?
I've only played the demo of Two Souls.
Right.
So I'd go for Heavy Rain, first of all. But, you know, from what I've read, people seem to not like Beyond Two Souls. They say it gets really crazy.
Right.
Yeah, David Cage sort of lets himself go wild with it.
Goes a bit Hideo Kojima on you.
Yeah, I think so. There's quite a few improvements. It's got 1080p graphics improvements. It's going to use the DualShock 4 speaker to improve immersion when playing as the entity. This is for Beyond Two Souls because you're a girl in this and she's got a friend who's like an entity.
Right.
A spirit of some kind that she can talk to that no one else can see. And you can sort of control the entity to sort of... Like in the beginning of the demo, she was being tested for telepathy, and I think you went round, you controlled the entity to read the cards that he's holding, and then you could sort of say what it was, you know, whether it was three wavy lines, like Ghostbusters. If you remember that scene, getting electric shock.
I love that scene.
It's funny. Decision, that's a rubbish improvement. Its decisions are highlighted at the end of each scene and compared with those made by other players. Oh, actually, no, it's quite good.
That's quite Telltale as well, because Telltale does that, doesn't it? Like at the end of each episode, it says, you know...
So they've looked at Telltale and seen the similarity and thought we can add that, haven't they?
Oh, that's really cool. I might. So you reckon Heavy Rain would be a good one to jump into? Yeah,
but Heavy Rain isn't until next year. Beyond Two Souls is coming out next week. This is an interesting thing. I didn't know this about Beyond Two Souls. It says one of the features is that you can now play the game in chronological order right from the start, a much requested feature in the PS3 version. So David Cage has gone all like haywire with like the way that you play it. You know, it's like maybe you unlocked after you completed it, but you had to play it in some weird sort of order. I hate that.
Well, that's really weird. I think, what would you prefer, the chronological or kind of going backwards and forwards? Because that's what, Lara Croft is doing that, and I quite like the kind of flashbacks and stuff like that. It's quite cool.
It would depend. I mean, there came a time with films that I got really sick of seeing, like, sort of a sticky situation, then it went 1 week earlier.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? I got a bit fed up at that. So, I don't know. I haven't played Beyond Two Souls apart from the demo, so I can't really say. I enjoyed the demo when I was going to buy it, but, Next Gen came along. And there you go. It also includes some DLC that came out from it. So yeah, that's good. I would definitely recommend Heavy Rain if the price is right. There's no prices here. But I'd recommend... Oh, no, there's a price for Beyond Two Souls, $29.99. Probably convert to £30.
Yes.
I wouldn't recommend Heavy Rain for £30.
No.
I'd recommend Heavy Rain for about £15.
It's got PS Plus written all over it, hasn't it?
Yeah, so I think I'll just wait. But it'd be nice to see the graphics. And another reason I included this was just to break off a little minute and ask you what you thought about something that we haven't discussed after the last PlayStation event, I think it was, and somehow it slipped by us both. Detroit Become Human, the next David Cage extravaganza.
Yeah, see, I don't know how that we missed that one, but that was that looked fantastic. I mean, it's definitely in my alley for story wise. You know, that sci-fi AI goes a bit AWOL type thing, so it's definitely kind of in a genre that I like, and it looked stunning, didn't it? You know, it definitely had a Quantic Dream feel to it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, did you see the Kara tech demo on PS3?
I think I did. Was that the same time that we had the Crazy Sorcerer? They also had that.
No, I don't think so. Because wasn't the Crazy Sorcerer like a launch thing?
Was that PS4?
That was PS4 launch. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think I know what you mean. It was like was that kind of like half an AI or something like that, and it was just very showing the face, and it was really emotional.
Yeah, it was showing the face, and this robot was getting assembled, and there was a guy sort of like doing QA. On the robots, and then this particular one was being built. They were running through the tests, and it turned out that she could think for herself, and he starts to dismantle it, and she sort of pleads, and then he sort of feels bad, so he lets her go out, so he puts her back together, and then she goes off to be sold.
Wow.
And it's like, really, it is quite emotional. I love it. I love tech demos. And it's like, oh, this is just a tech demo, but Kara seems to be in Detroit Become Human.
Right.
And so it's as if that Kara tech demo was just a little bit of a prologue to it, because she is a robot that has sort of human qualities. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you know, I think watch that on YouTube in 1080p because it's marvellous and it shows what the PS3 could do. But maybe it also hints that they were probably working on Detroit Become Human back then. This was probably in the last year of PS3 that I saw that, and I just loved it. I thought it was fantastic. She's running through a boot up sequence, and they say, right, do this, do that, and then it's like sing, and she like sings in Japanese, and it's just beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's amazing. I love it so much, and it is emotional as well. Well worth 7 or 8 minutes of your time. I'll put a link in the notes actually for Kara.
Oh yeah, that'd be really cool because I can have a look at that then.
Yeah,
that'd be really cool. Thank you very much.
Not at all. So that's that. 2 Quantic Dreams games coming to PS4 to whet everybody's appetites, no doubt, for Detroit Become Human. And finally, he says with a sigh, some news from Sony has been announced on different PlayStation VR controller combinations.
Ooh.
Yeah, so there's a slide that's been revealed that I found on vrfocus.com, who are great at finding snippets of VR news, and it shows a slide. Well, let me find out where the slide's from. Just give me 1 second. It's a slide that was shown during Sony SCE's technical account manager Vernon Harmon's recent Embrace Virtual Reality with PlayStation VR talk, which was at the 2015 Montreal International Game Summit. And there's a link to put in the notes, actually. Let me just jot that down. VR link. Because I haven't watched that yet, and that could be quite interesting. So this slide basically shows, and you'll see this in the link, it shows all the different combinations of tracking and how many players could play a VR game using one headset. So one of them uses, like, it shows one person would have it's got player 1, 2, 3 and 4 and all these different combinations, and it seems like the PlayStation can track 4 different hardware peripherals, okay?
Right.
So it can track for, and this doesn't include the HMD. So, for instance, the first one shows the HMD, the head-mounted device, that's what you put on your head, the goggles, if you like, with a controller. So that's one person would have the headset and the controller, and another 3 players would have a controller each.
Right.
And the PlayStation could track that. So you could have a game that features that kind of setup. Another one would be one wearing just a visor, and 2 other players using a Move controller and a pad each. And it could handle that because that results in 4 items, 4 peripherals. You can have a guy wearing the goggles holding the pad and holding the Move, and then another player holding Move and pad, But basically, he breaks it down into all these different iterations. There's loads of combinations.
Yes.
But it's quite interesting. Have you got your Move controllers? Did you ever buy them? I've got two still. I've got two.
I never bought them. I never bought Move because I think the only thing that was there was that sports game, wasn't it? Really, there wasn't really anything else that really.
What do you mean? There was Eye of Judgment.
What?
Eye of Judgment. Did you not? Do you not remember Eye of Judgment?
No.
Oh man, I was such a sucker buying Eye of Judgment. It came with the camera, which was good because it was actually cheaper, I think, to buy Eye of Judgment.
Judge you for buying this peripheral all the time. Go, really? Have you wasted your money on this?
You open the box and it was like the Eye of Sauron. It was like, you fool. You've bought this, you numpty. It was like a board game. I got sucked in by the advert. So you put the mat, you got a mat with it that you put on, like a board that you put on the floor.
Oh, yeah.
And then you put the camera on a tripod over the board so it could see the board. And you placed cards down that had like QR codes on them.
Oh, right.
And when you put like a card down, it made a character appear on the board on the screen.
That's really cool. That's really cool.
Like Star Wars holographic chess.
Yes.
That's what it looked like on the advert. In reality, nudging the camera to get the sweet spot to make the thing appear on the TV was like a lot more time than playing the game itself. But it came with the PlayStation Eye. So I bought two Move controllers for the sports thing. So I've got them, and the PSVR is gonna track these Move controllers. They're going to be very useful for PSVR. So if anybody listening, and yourself, Anthony, are thinking of getting PSVR, I would advise securing some Move controllers while they're still like 50p.
Yes.
Because once PSVR comes out, and the camera actually, because the camera's still cheap, unless it's started to rise already, we might be too late. I need a camera now as well because the PlayStation Eye isn't compatible with PS4. You need the PlayStation camera or whatever it's called. So I would just say if you're thinking about getting PSVR, get yourself some Move controllers and get them now because they're going to go up. They're going to go up in price as soon as PSVR hits. And that's my tip of the day.
That's really cool. But what I like about that, kind of what you're saying there, is that I can just play it with a head-mounted device and a DualShock.
Yeah.
Because that's what I really want to be able to do. I really want to just be able to do that.
Yeah.
Just not so much the Move stuff,
but you're going to miss out on some immersion because imagine like that heist demo, for instance. You reach out and you open a drawer and you pick up a gun and you wave the gun around. It's going to feel better with a Move control than a pad. You probably still do it with a pad.
I guess so. No, I guess you're right. I
think if you're going to go in for it, I think the price of the PSVR is probably going to be, say, around about the same price as a console. Say £300. It's probably worth investing the £20 or whatever it is and getting some Move controllers.
It's worth going all in.
You want to get what's the reason to get VR? It's to get immersed.
Yes. No, you're right.
Maybe.
Absolutely.
But I'm going to have to check eBay.
I'm hoping that I can play some games with just the controller. But
you're right. I'm sure you'll be able to.
If you got that game, you imagine just like putting it on your coffee table and then picking it up as you just painted that VR picture, just picking up the Move controller, and as you picked it up, obviously trying to find it because you can't see it. But then
it's like scent of a woman.
Yeah.
Hooah! Where's that Move controller?
And then and so you pick it up, and that'd be really cool. I've just did a quick Google on Amazon.co.uk. They've got a pack of PlayStation Move controllers for £20.
How many did you get? 2 or 4?
2.
Right, because I might have to get an extra 2. I think VR will be something that you'll be able to share, even with one headset. You can all get involved, as it can track 4 things. It might be worth getting an extra 2. I think I've just got 2. I'll have to check in my cupboard. And bring them out. They'll get dusted off when PSVR comes out. I can't wait.
That's so cool. I remember there was a demo. There was a game when Oculus first came out. There was a game that really piqued my interest for like a party game with Oculus, and it was that the person who had Oculus on was seeing a bomb, and everybody else in the room had a booklet. And it was up to the person who had the headset to describe to the piece of people with the booklet what the bomb was like and what wire he or she had to cut.
Wow.
So you're going, right, I'm looking at a round bomb, and they're like going through this booklet going, round bomb, round bomb. I can see a blue wire.
Yeah,
I can see
big
a red wire.
convoluted instruction book, so they've got to like remote it. Yeah.
And I just thought, God, that would just be such a, had a few drinks, that would be such a laugh to do, as it kind of, as long as the consequences, as it blew up, you had it quite loud in your surround sound or something like that, so it really did blow. But I just thought that's such a great party game and such a great use for just one person seeing. Obviously, I think, well, maybe they wouldn't be able to see it on the TV screen. It would just be the person with the headset.
Well, on Oculus. It does mirror out to PC, actually. It does mirror out.
I guess it would defeat the game, wouldn't it?
Just a bit, yeah, sorry.
That's the whole point.
Not bad.
Just cut that wire there.
They're like, we can see it, that's it, we've done it. Something though, that would be great for corporate as well, for team building exercises. I could just imagine doing that. If somebody bought an Oculus and just that game, you could pitch that to a company of these team experiences of getting people closer together. That could be an exercise that places would pay good money for.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So there you go.
Then with that brainwave, that's about it for this episode. So again, thank you very much for listening. Don't forget, you can keep up with us at gamersoflostspark.com. You can also find us on Facebook, on Twitter, we're at LostSparkPod, and on YouTube. And you can also find us on that PlayStation 4 community, which is Gamers of the Lost Spark. Darren, where can we find you online?
You can find me as Wythamator on PS4, Xbox One, and Twitch, Dazagamer on YouTube, and at Dazwitham on Twitter.
For me, I am Chessman on Xbox Live. I'm PS-Chessman on the PlayStation Network, where I'm going to be most nights playing Star Wars. I'm also Chessman UK on Twitter. If you have any feedback, please send it to our email address. That's feedback@gamersoflostspark.com. Also, if you're feeling generous, please leave us a review on iTunes. So that's about it. Darren, should we go and hit some Battlefront?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. Catch you next week.
Bye.